Notes. As you're listening to the audiobook, kindly note the following. Chanakya, Kautilya and Vishnugupta are the names of the same person. Either of the names have been used in this book to refer to Chanakya. This book does not compare Indian management ideas against Western management ideas.
In fact, it is complementary to Western management thoughts.
We have taken the best of both the worlds. In most cases, leaders have been referred to as he, but it also applies to she as well. Since Chanakya had taken the king, the male gender, as the leader, the pronoun he is used. However, leadership and management skills are not gender-based, but they are qualities which can be developed as a mindset. In this book, I have referred to verses or sutras from Kautilya's Arthashastra. English translation of Kautilya's Arthashastra by R.P. Kangle of the Mumbai University, the book which is published by Motilal Banarasi Das, has been used as a base book. The other books are also available in the market. The explanations given are the interpretation of the author. Various other translations and commentaries of the Arthashastra other than this book are available. A small tip: this book has 175 chapters.
The idea is not to read or listen to this book as a novel,
but to enjoy its practical benefits. Listen to a chapter or a few chapters a day. Apply the teachings in your life and observe the benefits. It only takes about 3 to 4 minutes to listen to a chapter. Corporate Chanakya.
Friends, this audiobook has been brought to you by Jayco Books and Shemaru.
The voice of the author is given by Tom Alter, the well-known theatre and film artist and an author himself. We thank Tom Alter for giving his precious time and voice to the author of this particular book. Tom Alter takes over.
Employees. 71. Safety and security. The days of conventional wars, when kingdoms or nations fought with weapons like swords and later with sophisticated and more disastrous mass destruction weapons, are over. Now, wars are fought between democracies with terrorism. The nature of these wars is more complex. This is the time when the importance of security cannot be undermined. Terrorists target common people. The battlefields are public places, and their aim is to disrupt economies. Corporate setups are soft targets, and the only weapon we have is vigilance to prevent problems and the knowledge to fight back unanticipated disasters. Chanakya says, for the guard not reporting to the city superintendent an offense committed during the night, whether by the animate or the inanimate, the punishment shall be in conformity with the offense, also in the case of negligence. This means an alert security person should be very alert. He has to report to his superiors every single offense that has been committed. He cannot take any seen or unseen movements for granted. If his superior also does not do this, even he shall be punished. A special focus has to be given to corporate security personnel in the following manner. Extra training. The guards, watchmen, and other security guards in your organization have to be given extra training and information about the current scenario. They should be briefed about the threats faced by the country and the region specifically. You can also take the help of the local police or intelligence agencies to give them the latest updates about security measures suggested by the local, state, and union government. Support the security guards. All employees have to be made aware of the alarming situation we are in. They should cooperate with security officials. Being frisked and having your bags and personal belongings checked should not be taken as an act calculated to offend you. Do not feel insulted or ashamed. The security personnel is performing his duty. Be part of the system and help the system protect us. Work as a team. It is important to note that it is not the duty of only the security guards to ensure security. Each employee has to play his or her role. Even security guards are human beings working around the clock to ensure safety. Understand their problems as well. Note that we have to work as a team. Today, the nation, its economy, corporate houses, and our lives are under constant threat. And we have to rise and fight. We have to rise and fight. Selecting the right managers. An executive manager plays a key role in the successful functioning of a company. His selection and appointment is very important for the growth of the organization. Headhunters and placement agencies provide resources and services for hiring the right candidate. However, the parameters have to be set by the employer. Kautilya in his Arthashastra gives us detailed guidelines to follow while selecting managers who are fresh management trainees and also those who are experienced and need to be directly recruited for higher responsibilities. A. Selection of management trainees. Book 1, Chapter 5 points out the various qualities that must be tested by the Human Resource Department when it hunts for management trainees during campus interviews. Kautilya says that a trainable person is one who has the following 6 qualities. 1. Desire to learn. Should be open-minded. After learning all the theories of management, a trainee should be eager to learn the practical side of it from seniors. 2. Effective listening ability. Listening is hearing plus thinking. Listening is hearing plus thinking. He should be able to understand what is expected from him. 3. Ability to reflect. He should be able to analyze a situation from various perspectives. Both logical and creative thinking is required in the field of management. 4. Ability to reject false views. He should be able to reach his own conclusions. He should be able to understand various points of view. 5. Intent on truth, not on person. This is the ability to separate the person from the problem. He should be able to stick to the truth that he has reached after his own careful analysis. B. Selection of experienced managers. The qualities that must be tested before recruiting a person from another organization is given in Book 1, Chapter 9 of the Arthashastra. 1. Technical competence. This must be tested with the help of those people more learned in that science. 2. Intelligence, perseverance, and dexterity. His experience should also be coupled with the intelligence to understand the crux of any problem. He should also have the ability to progress in spite of various hindrances. 3. Eloquence, boldness, and presence of mind. He must have the ability to make quick decisions and a personality that reflects confidence. Eloquence also means to communicate words in a brief yet effective manner. 4. Ability to bear troubles during emergencies. The true test of a good manager comes during a crisis. He should be able to shoulder all responsibilities and execute an immediate action plan. 5. Uprightness, friendliness, and firmness of devotion while dealing with others. He should be a people's man. Management is the ability to get the work done from the right people. Strength of character. 6. Moral strength and ethical dealings have to be conveyed by action rather than just words. Deciding rank. Degrees and certificates can never guarantee the results a manager can produce. Some of the best managers never completed their formal education. Neither Bill Gates nor Henry Ford needed an MBA before starting their respective companies. a CEO has to focus on the results a person can bring about while recruiting his team of managers, not only their qualifications. Kautilya says, "From the capacity for doing work is the ability of the person judged, and in accordance with the ability, by suitably distributing rank among ministers and assigning place, time, and work to them, he should appoint all the ministers." While the job responsibilities are being delegated to team members, Kautilya outlines 5 focus areas for a CEO. Capacity. The capacity for doing work is the key factor in understanding a person's ability. Only an able person can bring out the best results. In many organizations, managers are recruited based on influence. However, if the person is not capable, the professionalism of the company suffers. One may get the chair based on influence, but the chair will not let you be there for long. Rank and designation. Rank and designation should be given based on the candidate's ability. In the current corporate world, we find that ranks are distributed freely. Even freshers are given senior positions without examining their output. The distribution of designations should be done based on the results produced. This is the key to success, particularly for many family-managed businesses in India. Place. A person needs to be appointed at the right place. In most industries, if a new branch is being opened, a preference is given to the local candidate. This is because he will understand more about that particular region than others. In the tourism industry, every traveler prefers a local guide to an outsider, as locals know more details. Time. Timing has to be assigned to the person. First, the time by when he must join the project. Then, the time frame has to be agreed upon to finish the project. Time-bound targets have to be set in order to bring out the best in a person. Work. The work expected to be done by that particular manager has to be defined. Management by objectives, MBO, a concept of key result area KRA, gives a definite focus to the manager. This should be followed by a proper and regular feedback system. When the above areas have been taken into account, it saves a lot of future misunderstanding and complication. Clear communication and an agreement to achieve the defined results not only makes a person effective, but also makes the organization productive. Stopping attrition. The biggest challenge faced by any company is that of attrition. That is when employees leave the organization. Tackling this is the most important task of any and every HR department. Strategies and policies are eternally formulated to solve this problem. After all, continuous training, promotions, and hikes in salaries are not enough to stem attrition. Kautilya suggests he should favor those contented with additional wealth and honor. He should propitiate with gifts and conciliation those who are discontented in order to make them contented. There are generally 2 types of employees, content and discontented. Kautilya gives us a tip about handling these 2 types. According to him, ignoring the employees who seem content, those who do not ask for a promotion or a pay rise, is a very bad HR strategy. Every person works in the organization for his salary. Just because the employee seems content does not mean that she really is. Such people just need a bigger offer from a competitor and they will be gone like the wind. Hence, if you see a content employee, favor him with additional wealth, awards, and also increments. You will find that they will be even more loyal to you. Why? Well, you understood their needs even before they expressed their feelings. After this, there would be no unions or strikes. As for those who are very restless and discontent, give gifts and other notable benefits to them as well, to retain them in the organization. There are a few more useful tips that can be followed to avoid attrition. Give importance to HRD or the Human Resource Department. Most top managements consider the HR department to be very ordinary and merely the administrative part of their organization. Its function is only to recruit, train employees, and maintain their records. In fact, each and every manager should consider the HR to be the top priority in their agenda. Work on your people. Only then will your people work for you. CEO should be a mentor. A CEO should be a friend, philosopher, and guide to all the employees. Running the business is only a small part of his job. His main job is to be a teacher and train people to become future leaders. He should use his years of experience in running a business to train others to do the same. Create your own culture. Instead of copying from others, develop your own culture, an organizational culture that is unique. Others can copy your product and services, but never your culture. Such a culture should be friendly and open. Every employee should feel that he is part of a family. Break all the rules. Get out of your cabin and spend more time with your staff. Let your organization be the one where everyone feels proud to work. Changing jobs. Let's face it, there comes a point in each and every person's career when he feels like running away from his routine, almost mundane job. He feels like taking up a higher responsibility and earning more than what he is currently getting. For such people, Kautilya advises, one who is conversant with the ways of the world should seek service with the king, endowed with personal excellences and the excellences of material constituents, through such as dear and beneficial to the king. Such an experienced person who is equipped with the know-how of his work should definitely seek higher responsibilities. If not, he will feel depressed, stressed, and underutilized. He should approach the king or the leaders of an organization, and after recounting or presenting a summary of his experience and results achieved in the past, should ask for a better job. Now, changing jobs does not mean changing organizations. You can change jobs even within the organization. However, while doing so, one should keep in mind the benefits that he can bring to the owner, not just to himself. It is very important to remember that while one is being interviewed for higher positions or responsibilities, the interviewer will always consider the benefits the recruiting firm can get. Hence, keep that foremost in mind. Steps that will help you to take up higher responsibilities. Gather experience. Experience counts a lot when it comes to going up in life. Learn from everyone and everything possible. Update your knowledge and gather some good skills. The more experienced you are, the better your chances of going up in life. Prepare a document. While approaching the people who could promote you or give you new responsibilities, always carry documents which show your successful endeavors. CVs, portfolios, certificates, press cuttings, reports of the projects you have handled, all these could be helpful. Talk about their benefits. During the interview, it is very important to discuss the benefits that you can give to your organization. Talk in terms of definite numbers. Do a little bit of research as you prepare for the interview. Whatever new assignment you take up, you have to leave your mark. Bob Dole, a former American leader who ran for the U.S. presidency, once said, "When it's all over, it's not who you were, it's whether you made a difference." It's whether you made a difference. The first step. Most of us wait for the right opportunity to start looking for our dream job. We wait for a wanted advertisement to appear in the newspaper before even thinking of making the next jump in our career. Even businessmen wait for information to get the dream contract. This is a big mistake. Even if our dream job or project is currently not available in the market, we can create the opportunity. Chanakya was a great believer in making efforts ourselves rather than depending on fate or destiny to shape up situations. He says, "One trusting in fate, being devoid of human endeavor, perishes. because he does not start undertakings or his undertakings have miscarried or failed. Obviously, if opportunities don't knock on our doors, we go to the opportunities and knock on their doors. Now, how does one do that? Here are a few tips. Know your strengths. Before you go around banging on doors, do a little bit of introspection. Know your strengths. Before you go around banging on doors, do a little bit of introspection. Know your strengths. Focus on what you are good at. Chanakya calls this a person's swadharma, what one is naturally capable of doing. Create your dream work project to which you can deliver better than others. Prepare your resume or business plan, clearly highlighting your past experience and what makes you different from the others. Tap the right person. A good resume or business plan is not enough in itself. We have to market ourselves. For this, it is important to know who the right people are and which companies would like to use our services. Mail your proposal, call up, and ask for an appointment. Finally, turn up on time and have a word with the right people. A face-to-face meeting is an absolute must. Don't wait for someone to call you. There are many companies that have vacancies and projects to be executed, but do not advertise. Be clear about the financials. Let's be honest, there are no free lunches. Before you pitch yourself, also think about how much money you want to make from this new initiative. During meetings, you must speak and work on the financials and economics involved. A win-win situation can happen only when our roles, goals, and more importantly, the financials are clear. Remember that when you finally get your dream job or project, it is not enough. In fact, it's just the beginning. Then you must deliver what you have promised. Show your capability not just by words, but by result-oriented actions too. And learn to work with others. For that's the secret for succeeding in any project. Death on duty. Life is very precious, and the death of a person brings great sorrow to his near and dear ones. However, if he dies while he is on duty, then the death also becomes the responsibility of the employer. Despite the best safety measures and policies made to avoid accidents, there is a possibility that an employee may lose his life during work. Kautilya's advice for such unforeseen circumstances is, of those dying while on duty, the sons and wives shall receive the food and wages, and their minor children, old and sick persons should be helped, and he should grant them money and do honor on occasions of death, illness, and birth ceremonials. For organizations like the Defense Forces, the government has worked out the compensation in such cases. But what needs to be noted here is that Kautilya wants the employer to not just give the family financial compensation, but in fact, take on bigger responsibilities. He suggests that the employer should consider the family of the deceased employee as his own family. He should not only look after their basic needs like food and financial assistance, but also consider the needs of the children like education, mentoring, and guidance. Honor on occasions, to use the exact words. Once an accident took place in a highly respected Indian company, and 60 employees lost their lives. The media asked the head of the corporate giant, "How much money are you planning to give their families?" His answer was typical of the company's employer-friendly policies. It will depend on each family's need. Unlike our politicians who announce a fixed sum of compensation for all families, the top company official had decided to understand the need of each family. If some family required more money, it was given. Similarly, if someone required assistance in rehabilitation, it was provided. If a child needed education, it was taken care of. That approach shows concern. Here are some tips for facing such situations in today's scenario. Insurance. Make sure that each of your employees has a life insurance. Have your HR department ensure that each employee has at least one policy in effect. Understand each employee. Each person in your organization has different family needs. Keep a record of their family members, how many people in the family, what they do, and so on. Organize family meets to ensure a good family work-life balance. Be there. When an employee loses his life, meet the family. Do not just send a manager with a check. Be present with the family and share their pain. As someone has said beautifully, after the death of a near one, I often wished for a few words of love, rather than the tears of thousands of people. Taking care of employees. Now, this is more for your boss than you. Still, read on, as the ever-booming economy may someday help you establish a business and employ people yourself. And when you do that, you will soon realize that good, talented, and skilled people are really rare. Ask anyone in the HR department. Not only do they have to recruit and train people, but they have to also retain people within the organization. In the end, it must be realized that it is not the brand nor even the salary that can retain people. It's the human touch the organization is capable of giving. For this, Chanakya suggests that the management needs to be totally aware of what the employees think. If they don't, they are playing with danger. Not being rooted among the subjects, he becomes easy to uproot. Here are a few steps to do this. Take time out for your employees. It is important to spend time with all your subordinates individually. There is no substitute for this. Set aside half an hour every day for this purpose. This will help you understand the way each employee thinks and can help resolve problems as they first start to appear. Get out of your cabin. Do not sit in your cabin and give orders over the phone. Now and then, get out of your cabin and walk to the employee's desk and workstations. There are many benefits in doing this. One, this acts as a surprise check. And secondly, you will directly know what is happening in the office. Plan an outing. There are limits in an office. An outing with your team, a celebration of major events at a different venue, a party or picnic will not only reduce the stress levels but also help everyone emotionally relate to each other. Many talents are discovered during informal celebrations and gatherings. Keep records. Now, this is the most important part. Maintain a different file for each employee with the help of the HR department. It should document the details of each employee. Record keeping is not enough. The management should look at it from time to time and make effective use of the employees by looking up their inherent strengths. A recent survey to find out the best employer among the corporates indicated that employees who feel wanted and challenged in a workplace have better chances of staying committed to the company for a longer period of time. This is better reflected in what the American industrialist Charles Irwin Wilson once said. A good boss makes his men realize they have more ability than they think they have, so that they consistently do better work than they thought they could. And security above salary. I have once again decided to deal with the topic of attrition. Many are still surprised at the gigantic proportions this problem has taken. All the organizations face attrition today. Consultants are being appointed, research is being conducted, and new methods and strategies are being sought out to understand why people leave organizations. The first reason that people think of is that employees leave due to higher salaries offered by other companies. However, it is clearly seen that money or higher salaries alone cannot reduce the attrition rate. Chanakya gives us food for thought. Even for a very large sum of money, no one would desire the loss of his life. Even for a very large sum of money, no one would desire the loss of his life. So, what is it that makes people shift jobs or change companies? The answer is multifold. The immediate boss. There is a popular saying, people don't leave companies, they leave their bosses. Your immediate boss is a reflection of the whole organization. The chairman may be the best leader in the industry, but he may not be able to reach the last man in the organization. The heads of department, the middle managers, the line managers, all of them become a source of inspiration for the people working immediately below them. If this person is a good leader, people will be inspired to work. If he is not, even those in blue-chip companies will quit their jobs. Salary. Yes, this is important. You cannot keep your employees dedicated and faithful to the company on an empty stomach. People need to earn good money and also receive a hike once in a while. Note that the high salary an employee demands is not automatically the right salary. The environment also plays a major role in the expenses of the individual. The cost of living in a particular place, the number of people who are dependent on his income, his lifestyle, all have an impact on determining the salary expectations of the individual. Security. This factor is the topmost on any employee's mind. How does one define security? It has many aspects. Financial security, mental security, and also a feeling of being at the right place at the right time. The definition of security will also change from person to person and even from generation to generation. I was conversing with a top management professional from a multinational company who has spent over 25 years in the same firm despite better offers. When I tried to find out why, he explained, "Ours is a human company. More than the salary, it was the fact that we always felt at home." Try to achieve this family feeling in your organization. And promotion. Getting promoted should not be demanded, it should be commanded. Promotion from one position to the next is directly related to the results produced. Regarding promotions, Chanakya tells the leaders, "He, the king, should make those his ministers who, when appointed to tasks, the income from which is calculated beforehand, would bring in the income as directed or more, since thus their qualities are proved." The quality of a person is proved by his output. But here, Kautilya becomes more specific, emphasizing the productivity of the employee by saying that promotion is to be considered according to the income the employee brings to the organization. Such a person should be made a minister at a senior managerial position. During a job interview, the employer talks about the pay package in terms of CTC, that is, cost to company. At this point in time, the employer calculates the expenses he would incur for the candidate if he were to recruit him. The employer will also look into the probable revenue generated by the candidate and accordingly decide upon the package. If given a particular assignment or project, the manager has a fixed budget within which he has to operate. There is also a particular profit expected from the project. If at the end of the project the expected profits or more profits are made, or even budgeted expenses are reduced, such a person should be considered for promotion. So, what can an employee learn from the above sutra? Make a financial contribution. Every employee, irrespective of the department he belongs to, should make a financial contribution justifying the remuneration paid by his organization. Dr. Makarand Tare, a human resource management HRD specialist, was addressing a group of HR managers. He said, "Even if you are in HR, You should contribute to your company in terms of financial gains, either by bringing down costs or by increasing the productivity of your employees. Show your result in numbers. Just because you made a financial contribution, do not just sit back. Show your results to your seniors by presenting them with numbers. Make a report, make a graph, and tell your bosses how you, being a part of the project, have made a significant contribution. Learn to sell yourself at every stage of your career. Think like an employer. Give more than you take. Do not expect a promotion or an increment at the end of each year. Ask yourself what your boss wants from you. Work in that direction. Produce more wealth for your organization than what you consume. An MBA student during his campus interview was asked, "What is your salary expectation?" His answer was, "Sir, that is for you to decide at this stage. At the end of 6 months, let us review my performance. Then I will tell you what my expectation is." He was immediately recruited. Make people accountable. While it is difficult to get the right people for the right job, it's even more difficult to make the people currently working with you be productive and efficient. Chanakya has a solution for this. If employees are not productive, then impose a fine on them. Chanakya provides an example. He, the leader, should wait for 1 month. If the accounts officer has not brought in the day-to-day accounts after 1 month, the officer shall pay a fine of 200 pannas, increased by that amount for each succeeding month. However, this system is to be implemented 1 step at a time, according to Chanakya, who lists the tactics called Sam, Dan, Bhed, and Dand. How do we follow this system? Here are some tips. Define what is expected. This is the first step. Clearly spell out what is expected from the employee. Most problems start when we do not communicate our expectations clearly. A well-defined job profile and job description will help a person understand his role. One way of doing this is to document these roles and expectations. The best way is to make the person himself write it, lest he forgets. Regular supervision. Keep an eye on the person who is doing the work. Regular supervision and asking the right questions will help if the employee is about to lose direction. This does not mean that you need to be bossy or restrict a person. You must allow the employee freedom to carry out the task in his or her style. You need not define how, but you will have to define what and why. It is important that the person maintains his focus on his productivity. Reminders and following up. When you do this for the first time, it will take some time for the person to understand. However, with patience and practice, incorporate this into a system which runs the show rather than doing this yourself. Of course, if you keep issuing reminders and the work still doesn't get done, then it is time to take some serious action. The fine. Chanakya suggested that the unproductive employee must be fined. Just announcing this or making this part of the company policy will not help. One has to implement it from time to time. This will get rid of lethargy and the employee will act quickly to protect himself. It will also send out the message that you are serious about your business and no one can take his work for granted. If each person in an organization works with optimum productivity as per the goals defined, the business world itself would be different. Safety in any deal making. In any leader's life, there comes a moment when he has to take some critical decisions while striking a big deal. At times, he has to consider the deal's financial impact, the impact on the morale of the employees, and also any future impact it may have on the market position he currently holds. During such difficult times, when he has to decide between the present and the future, Chanakya suggests that the leader consider the safety angle first. Chanakya says, he should not follow that policy by resorting to which he were to see the ruin of his own undertakings, not of those of the other party. So while going in for that big deal, always consider these aspects. The financial aspect. Business is about wealth creation, wealth management, and wealth expansion. As a leader, one should not ignore this critical angle. Secure the wealth that you have created, manage the existing wealth, and focus on the wealth that can be created in the future. Be non-emotional while dealing with this aspect. However, emotions cannot be left out all the time. This is where the next aspect comes in. The human aspect. The key asset in any organization is the human one. Those who created it and run it. You not only have to take care of their well-being and development, you also have to consider the impact on their morale. A huge team without any enthusiasm is nothing when compared to a smaller group with an enthusiastic drive to change and excel. It's this enthusiasm which makes the difference in a war. The social aspect. This is very important. Even if the previous two aspects are taken care of while concluding a deal, never miss out on the social impact it may have. The deal may make a lot of money for the employees and also the shareholders, but if it causes problems in the environment, ecology, or nature, you need to think twice about the deal. In the movie Sarkar, which was inspired by The Godfather, there is a similar negotiation scene. A drug dealer comes to the Don and offers him a big deal for getting the necessary sanctions for a drug shipment meant for the newfound market. The money offered for clearing the consignment was huge, but the Don refused it, since he found that even if he or his team made the money, it would cause a great problem for youngsters and the future generations. It's not easy, but it is important to negotiate. The thought that is put into the deal-making process, the study and research, all have an impact on the final outcome. So, sharpen your intellect, broaden your heart, and with maturity, strike the deal. Welcoming back ex-workers. Changing jobs frequently is a very common occurrence in today's corporate world. Gone are the days when a person retired from the same organization which gave him his first salary check. The reasons why people quit are many, but the most important reason is that they do not find growth possibilities, or that their immediate boss is not effective enough to retain or inspire them further. But there is one more scenario. What if someone who quit the organization wants to come back? Now, this is a dilemma for the decision maker. Chanakya guides us on what to do. One deserting because of the master's fault and retiring because of his virtue, or deserting because of the enemy's virtue and returning because of his fault, is one deserting and returning on good grounds, fit to be made peace with. So you need to get a complete perspective. Why did the person quit? Why has this person come back? And what are the benefits or loss that it can lead to? Let's look at these parameters in detail. Why did the person quit? Be honest. Was it your fault as a leader that he left? In that case, he is worthy of returning if you have learnt your lesson and are already working on improving your leadership skills. Was it in a fit of anger that you fired the person? Or was it some miscommunication? Did the person quit because he found something good in the new employer? In that case also, it is a fault with the leadership because you did not have that quality which your competitor has. In both cases, the person should be welcomed back. Was the person right? There are issues and situations that were not under the control of the person quitting. For example, at that time, he required a pay scale as a necessity which you could not provide? Or did the person realize that it was his mistake to quit, as your organization was really better and genuinely wants him to come back and work productively? In this case, too, he could be welcomed back. The person's virtues, the final checkpoint. What is the value addition the person brings? Probably the person has a skill or art that only he possesses and is already in demand in the industry, as he is really good at the work he does. Even in this case, the person can be welcomed back. Whether you do all these calculations or not, it's finally your gut feeling that matters. You have to take a decision and look ahead. Looking back at the past is good, but moving ahead is more important. Tackling attrition. Big brands can attract employees, but they cannot retain them. A recent study revealed that it's the biggest brands that face the highest level of attrition. Surprisingly, smaller companies, some without a proper HR department, enjoy a near zero attrition rate. Now, this is worthy of research. In larger organizations, work is totally dependent on key people. Yet, as stated above, there is no guarantee that they will stay in that company forever. Now, how can one ensure that the required work is done despite attrition? Chanakya suggests he should establish each department with many heads and without permanency of tenure of office. People may run organizations. However, good organizations are run by good systems along with good people. Therefore, one of the strategies that Chanakya suggests is to make a system that takes attrition into account right from day one. In the above verse, he suggests some key strategic points for the job profiling of senior people. Many heads. The head of any particular project or department is a key person. The dependency of an organization on this person is very high. Chanakya suggests reversing this dependency, split the responsibility. When he uses the phrase many heads, he means that if you require one head, have 3 heads instead. The reason? If one person leaves, there are still 2 more to look after things. The work continues without a break as the others take over. So, prepare all 3 heads with equal training and trust. A company once had a vacancy for a president's post, but it appointed 3 vice presidents instead and split the job. Amazing results were achieved. In the long run, they ended up with 2 highly productive presidents. Without permanency. No one is permanent in this world, including the founder himself. What remains permanent are the vision and the goodwill created because of the work one has done. Therefore, with people too, do not expect permanency. When you work with this attitude, you will give your best. The best way to make yourself permanent is to make more duplicates like you. Even if one duplicate is close to what you are, you have done your job. Let them take over and continue from where you have stopped. Establish. The only way of ensuring non-dependency on people is continuous training. Now, this is not just a formal process. Rather, it's the very lifeline of any organization, the very breath that keeps it alive. If we study organizations that have lasted for generations, we will find that they have put in place good systems along with continuous training. Adapt these and see the positive changes that it will lead to. Quality control. There are 2 kinds of players in any sector. Those who offer high quality at a high price, and those who offer low quality for a low price. A customer chooses between the 2 depending on his priority. However, no one can compromise on quality when it comes to critical items like food, beverages, and medicines. Otherwise, it could prove fatal for the consumer. Chanakya not only emphasized the importance of quality checks but also set up government control methods in his day to ensure the quality of products did not suffer. For perishable goods, a retraction may be allowed with the restriction, it shall not be sold elsewhere. In case of transgression of that, the fine is 24 pannas or 1/10 of the goods. In the above verse, we see that only for perishable commodities, Chanakya sets a policy that it has to be consumed within a particular region. He even defines the punishment if this is not followed. How does one ensure high-quality products and services in one's own organization? Here are some tips. Understand the meaning of quality. The meaning of quality changes from person to person and also from market to market. It differs completely from one segment to another. For example, a person who always used to wear torn clothes will consider even a second-hand but decent shirt as high quality. A person who is privileged to wear clean and good clothes will consider only a branded shirt or designer wear to be high quality. So, understand this mindset and your customers' requirements to define what quality means. Another example would be the exporters who send second-hand Indian clothes to poorer nations as against the domestic textile industry. Set up parameters. It is important to set up parameters to ensure quality before sending or marketing the produced goods and services. All well-known brands have quality control departments which monitor processes in their factories at each and every level rather than just at the final stage. No wonder then that these departments are called quality assurance instead of quality control. Each person at every stage of production is therefore responsible for guaranteeing the quality. Improving continuously. The demand in the market is growing, the needs of the customers are changing. Hence, the definition of quality also changes from time to time. Understand this and improve accordingly. In a shrinking world, it's better to pitch ahead and make products that reach global standards. Therefore, it pays to apply concepts like total quality management, TQM, ISO certifications, etc. in your processes and systems. Above all, learn from your mistakes, accept customer feedback, and adopt the same in the next level of improvement of your quality standards. Selecting the right person. Now, this is a challenge that the HR department faces the most. But today, almost every section chief has to take on the role of an HR person, not only to keep his team intact, but to also strengthen it further. That's because companies now fight more for people than for market share. Still, you can't recruit every other person. You have to carefully select the right candidates from all the applicants, and an interview is the most critical entry point, as it determines the future of the new recruit as well as of the company. Apart from salary, post, and job profile, Chanakya suggests that it is important to know the thinking, mindset, and psychology of the candidate. On finding out, he should keep him in accordance with his intentions. On finding out, he should keep him in accordance with his intentions. But which question should one ask during an interview? Here are some examples. Who is your role model? Interviews usually start with the interviewer asking, tell me something about yourself. The very next query should be, who is your role model? This is a very different yet powerful question. The answer will tell you about the candidate's thinking pattern, because a role model is a person one usually thinks about, relates to, and even tries to copy. If a person says Bill Gates, you will know that there is a businessman or an IT professional inside him who is seeking an opportunity. If it's Gandhiji or a spiritual guru, It means that the person values noble ideals and gives importance to ethics in life. Whom do you spend time with? It's important to know the interests and lifestyle of the person beyond office hours. If the answer is family, you know he is a family man. If the person's free time is mostly spent in libraries or with friends, you know he is seeking education and knowledge or just companionship respectively. As the old saying goes, company makes the man. Suppose you were asked to, it would help to give the person a cultural shock by forecasting a change in job profile. For example, if you are interviewing a chartered accountant for a senior financial post, ask him, what if we ask you to head the marketing department in a year's time? The answer will tell you his ability for change management. The more a person is adaptable to change, the more the benefit for both the parties. Make the interview fun and mentally challenging rather than just a mundane recruitment process. If you interview a job candidate in this manner, you will understand the human mind better and even accurately predict if the candidate will have a successful career in your firm. Don't beat around the bush. Does this situation ring a bell? You desperately want to discuss something important with your boss. When you finally work up the nerve to enter his cabin, you start off by talking about everything except what you really want to tell him. Slowly, you see your boss getting irritated. In a worst-case scenario, your boss screams, "Please come to the point fast!" By then, he's surely prejudiced against you. You have to understand that people who reach the top are inherently sharp and can understand the core issue very quickly. So when you are with them, do not beat around the bush. Now, after understanding this point, look at the same situation from the point of view of the leader. Our seniors always like to work with people who are sharp and can understand things immediately. Even Chanakya had some very practical advice for leaders when it comes to choosing their subordinates. He said, "The demand is to be made only once, not twice." In other words, a leader should be surrounded by workers who need to be told anything just once. And if you ensure you are good enough to be part of this crack team, your career is made. Be among the right people. All great leaders invariably have great teams, which were formed by ensuring that the right people were selected. Remember, we are talking not of the whole team, but the core strategic team. This will be the think tank of the organization. It requires mature, sharp, and brilliant people. If you work hard enough to get into this team, your most important work is done. Gain the vision. Even though you may be sharp, you still need training to gain the same vision that your seniors have for the organization. This has to be done in the right manner. If you are really good, just one logical explanation with facts and figures will be enough. You and your team will then be a part of the senior's dream, and the journey itself will be smooth. Stay in touch. Hurdles are bound to exist, and they come back in some form or the other. So you have to stay in touch with the leader, as you need to make sure that you and your team are not drifting from the plan. Keep yourself focused towards your objective and make sure that the entire team is doing this too. Always remember that gaining leadership yourself is not just about strategies, but also about being part of a strategic team. Once your team is ready, any demand you will make will surely be made only once, not twice. Reward productive people. All of us are surrounded by people who believe that it's just not worth making extra efforts at the job if the salary is fixed. This is where the theory of productivity and incentives kicks in. The more you work, the more rewards you will get. But The onus is on the boss and the firm's owners to identify the productive people in their organizations and not only reward them, but also make them stay. Chanakya had a strategy in place for this. In case more work is done than agreed upon, he shall not make the effort vain. In addition to this being a rule for paying out bonuses, the above verse can also be used as a yardstick to check if employees are good. Just check if they have done far more than what they were expected to do. If the answer is yes, then the management has to ensure that their extra efforts are rewarded. But how can a boss keep track of his employees' productivity? Keep notes. It's important that the director, the CEO, or even the head of a department keeps notes of people who are productive. People who are sincere, dedicated, and committed are essential to every company. Such people are the pillars of any organization. While it's good to keep mental notes of the staff's performance, it would be best if these could be written down for future reference. Look for new opportunities. A leader should keep looking not only for new business opportunities, but also for opportunities that can be given to productive people. The basic thought should be that an employee who has been very productive and dedicated to the company needs to be part of any new and wonderful assignment which offers better rewards. Promote when required. When seniors in an organization find that certain people are good, they should not hesitate to promote them. Promotion means far more than just giving a higher designation. It can mean salary hikes, a share in profits, or even an opportunity to head a new venture. Thus, the person also feels empowered and recognized within the company. They say, people do not leave organizations, they leave their bosses. But according to me, people should not leave their organizations due to lack of identification of their skill by their bosses. Take the initiative. A good leader inspires every follower and makes him productive, be it community leaders, spiritual leaders, or corporate leaders. In the presence of the master, everyone feels safe and secure. But the real challenge is when the big boss is not around. There are two situations which may force a boss to not come into work. Either it was planned and others were informed about his or her absence, or the boss has to deal with some emergency. In either case, the subordinates are supposed to take charge. Chanakya says, the minister should take steps in case of calamity of the king. The ministers should take steps in case of calamity of the king. So, if the king is not around, the minister should take charge. If the director or CEO is not present, the managers, or if the boss is not around, the subordinates should take charge. But how does one go about this? Observe the boss. So many of us follow a leader yet forget to understand the leader. Following the leader is good, but understanding the leader is much more important. This is a skill that every person has to develop. Whenever you are around the boss, observe him. Ask yourself, why does he do this? What does he really want? Try to read between the lines and listen to the unsaid words. As the great Jesuit priest and psychotherapist Anthony DeMello said, the words of a master seem ordinary, but have foreign meaning. The words of a master seem ordinary, but have foreign meaning. Start taking small decisions. Good leaders expect their team to take the right decisions in the overall interest of the company or country. However, if you do not have this habit, start taking small decisions yourself even when the boss is around. Taking small decisions will give you the confidence needed to take big decisions. Take charge. Finally, when the boss is not around, the followers have to take charge. There should not be a vacuum just because the leader is absent. The show must go on. Each person should think like the boss and be a good boss himself. Once the leader of a successful organization was asked how the company managed to maintain its good performance even after the founder had passed away. He replied, "The master is gone, but he left behind masterpieces." The master is gone, but he left behind masterpieces. To be a good boss? Surveys have repeatedly proved that one of the biggest reasons why people leave an organization is because they cannot work under their boss. To be an ideal leader or a good boss is an eternal challenge. A good boss is not produced in B schools nor with the help of management lectures and seminars. But Chanakya gives us a hint. And in all cases, he should favor the stricken subjects like a father. In our own homes, the role of a father has been well defined. He is full of love and concern. At the same time, he is also a strict disciplinarian. But whatever the case, a father will never abandon his children. Here are some tips for you to adopt with your subordinates to become a good boss. Understand them. Always remember that an employee is not just a money-generating machine. They have a life outside the office. They have a family, a friend circle, and also various interests and hobbies. It is important to understand their total personality. Once you understand their expectations, it will be easy to manage those expectations. Only then will you be able to tune into your employees. Give time to educate them. No good parent will ever expect the child to work and make money for them from day one. Similarly, your employees have to be educated, instructed, and prepared before they meet bigger challenges. Even you have to be part of their training and development. No doubt they will make mistakes, and just like children fall when they try to walk, so will employees stumble in the course of their duty. But with support and self-confidence, they will one day run faster than you. Discipline with love. The greatest challenge for any parent is to know the balance between discipline and love. The solution is love with discipline and discipline with love. An area has to be demarcated, a framework has to be indicated, beyond which there is dangerous territory. Subordinates, like children, are full of energy and enthusiasm. It is important to encourage their creativity, but it is equally important to give direction to their work. Discipline, coupled with love, is the answer. Finally, whatever you do, remember that no classroom lectures can achieve what one learns from direct experience. Therefore, in your own maturity, understand that in spite of your best efforts, the employee may still make the same mistakes that you did. Accept it with love and grace. There is a beautiful phrase I am reminded of. A man learns that his father was right when his son tells him that he is wrong. Maybe we will need to remember this while dealing with our employees. Net profit counts. I once met a successful French businessman who had started his business from scratch. It was while he was sharing his success stories with me that I got an insight into how beginners in the business field misunderstand profits. He said, first-level businessmen always feel income is profit. Once they mature in running a business, they realize that real profit is what comes after calculating the expenses and taxes. Now, this French businessman was merely echoing words that were first written by Chanakya 2,000 years ago. When assigned work, he should show income cleared of expenses. This is a simple yet most important basic lesson for the head of a business unit or profit center. Such people when they report to their head or board of directors, always show numbers which is the top line incoming. Now, it's nice to have a good turnover, but sales are not profits. But how do we understand this difference? Let us take it step by step. Top line. The sales numbers, what is sold in orders that have been confirmed, is generally called the top line. These numbers are what people look at. We reached a 100 crore figure this year. This statement would generally mean that the sales that particular year have touched a figure of 100 crore. Sales are the revenue for any organization. It is also called ITB, in the box, the sales pipeline that have been converted into confirmed orders. Expenses. Sales bring money into an organization. This incoming is the cash flow of the organization. A regular and strong cash flow is the backbone of any business. After this, expenses take place. Salaries to the staff, investment in infrastructure like office, technology, and information systems are calculated. Next, we have other overheads like travel, marketing costs, training, etc. All this put together are the total expenses of the company. As the company grows its top line, its expenses also grow accordingly. Bottom line. What is left from sales minus the expenses are your profits, the bottom line. This is what differentiates successful businesses from sick businesses. There are companies that have great top lines but small bottom lines. Yes, now there are other factors as well, like taxes, total assets and their valuation, etc. However, what the shareholders will generally look at is the dividend, which is now called the real bottom line. Adi Godrej, chairman of the Godrej Group of Companies, had summarized it briefly. Sales is vanity, profit is sanity, cash is reality. Sales is vanity, profit is sanity, cash is reality. Understand this basic principle and you will understand how to make your company more profitable. Take care of the treasury in difficult times. The king or leader plays a very important role in any organization. He has to take care of all his subjects or employees. The only way to do this is if the king has financial stability and security. So, keeping his treasury full should be the leader's prime concern. Therefore, Chanakya advises us, the king without a treasury should collect a treasury when difficulties concerning money have arisen. There will always be difficult times when money does not come into a treasury. Even during these times, a king has to carry on with collecting revenues and keep the business going. This is a major challenge for any organization's leader, but the following tips will help make the organization financially stable. Budget. Money may keep flowing into an organization, but it also goes out at double the speed it comes in. Controlling this outflow is possible only if one plans in advance. You should have a system similar to the dam on a river, which helps in storing water so that it can be used as per our convenience. Learn about finance. One very important aspect of financial management is to continuously learn financial skills. As your company grows, the financial challenges grow too. It starts from the capital requirement stage and then comes the short-term running capital requirement. And if not tracked well, there could even be a debt stage which can prove fatal for the organization. So, keep learning new financial skills about investments, tax structuring, etc. Network. This suggestion may not seem to be related to financial planning, but it is very important. It's our friends circle and the network of goodwill that we have created which will help us during financial crises. Yes, in spite of all our planning, there are times when things can go terribly wrong. Then, how will you fill up your treasury? it will be this network which will prove helpful at that time. Be proactive in creating a good friend circle. As they say, the best time to make friends is before you need them. The best time to make friends is before you need them. Friends make you richer not only in monetary terms, but also in the help you get while facing challenges in life. As Swami Chinmayananda ji said, to have a friend, you need to be a friend first. Wages. For Chanakya, the subjects and their welfare was more important than kingship. Every idea in the Arthashastra is directed towards this end. Thus, every CEO has to take into consideration the welfare of his employees first, which will ultimately benefit him. The Arthashastra clearly shows that Kautilya envisioned the welfare of society. In the happiness of the subjects lies the benefit of the king, and in what is beneficial to the subjects is his own benefit. Arthashastra evolved a wage structure which provides the protection of workers against exploitation or unduly low wages, and also facilitated justice and fairness for the sound relationship between the employer and the employee. Consideration for employees. What had been visualized by Kautilya in 3 BC found its way into the Minimum Wages Act of 1948. It recognizes that wages cannot be determined by market forces of supply and demand alone. Workers also were allowed to choose their work and enter into a contract before starting any work. If the employee gets sick, he is also given due consideration. If he is incapable due to ill health or due to a calamity, he shall get an extension. Whatever salary was fixed for laborers, the master was obliged to pay it, and in case the rule was violated, he had to undergo punishment. In case of non-payment of the wage, the fine is 12 pannas or 5 times the wage. Consideration of the employers. However, the wage structure was not one-sided. The employers' efforts were also safeguarded. Productivity of the workers was taken into consideration while paying wages. A wage is for work done, not for what is not done. According to Kautilya, if the laborer after receiving the wages did not complete his work, he was fined. An employee not doing the work after receiving the wage, the fine is 12 pannas and detention till it is done. If the employee did not return to his work, the master was at liberty to engage another worker. In case the employee misses the time or completion or does the work in a wrong manner, he may complete the work through another. In case the employee misses the time or completion or does the work in a wrong manner, he may complete the work through another. Deciding a fair wage. But how do we decide what is the correct wage? For this we will have to meet the current industry standards and also consider the time and effort that is put in a job. The payment of the wages was decided on the basis of work done, time spent in doing it, at the rate prevailing at the time. This concept has been adopted by the Committee of Fair Wages Government of India set up in 1949, which prescribed, again, this concept has been adopted by the Committee of Fair Wages Government of India set up in 1949, which prescribed the prevailing rates of wages in the same or similar occupations in the same or neighboring localities. Report of the Committee of Fair Wages, Delhi, 1954. Budgeting. The term budget signifies estimation and organization of revenue and expenditure of an organization or state. A strong financial foundation is necessary for an organization or state to be sound and stable. Good budgeting is the basis of a strong financial architecture. Hence, financial management plays a prominent role in the development of any organization or country. All undertakings are dependent first on the treasury. Therefore, he, the leader, should look to the treasury first. The CEO of an organization is advised to focus on increasing the revenue and cash flow into the treasury. He has also recommended a good management system to take care of budgeting. Forecasting the details of financial management constitute the exercise of budgeting. Kautilya emphasizes that the officer in charge of finance, the CFO in today's corporate world, should concentrate all his efforts on increasing income and reducing expenditure. The details of each financial activity, including record keeping, types of income, and control of expenditure and taxation, is given in Book 2, Chapter 7 of the Arthashastra. Accounting system. He, the leader, should check the accounts for each day, group of 5 days, fortnight, month, 4 months, and a year. The leader is expected to maintain a system of daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly accounting systems to regularly check the income and expenditure. Thus, he can make required corrections and control expenditure. Record keeping. He should check the income and expenditure with reference to the period, place, time, head of income expenditure, source, bringing forward, quantity, the payer paid, the person causing payments to be made, the recorder, and the receiver. In other words, absolutely everything. Kautilya has recommended maintaining the records of financial transactions in minute detail. He has suggested limiting withdrawals from the treasury. In short, the state should regulate its finance in such a way that it can easily manage through calamitous times. As an economist, Kautilya balanced his budgets well and always preferred surplus budgets to deficit budgets. Taxation. However, while filling up the treasury, he was conscious of the economic structure of the people. Several sections of society, such as old people, crippled persons, and widows, were exempted from taxation. Kautilya took several steps to ensure that a king got taxes from people like a person picked up ripe fruits from a tree. The king should not anger the people by overburdening them with taxes, just as one should not pluck unripe fruits as it affects the growth of the tree. Internal accounting systems. The treasury is the heart of an organization. It is always based on the financial performance of the company that is evaluated by its investors, shareholders, and promoters. Both the CEO, Chief Executive Officer, and the CFO, Chief Financial Officer, ensure that the organization is in good financial condition. It is important for them to not only build a good internal accounting system, but to also ensure that there are no unwanted expenses. Thus, they ensure that the employees are not corrupt. In order to achieve this, Kautilya says that a good financial reporting system has to be developed in an organization. He offers some advice regarding a good accounting system within an organization. In addition to reporting in detail as well as in aggregate, there is also an individual accountability for the revenues and the expenditures. Revenues and expenditures are part of the continuous cycle in any economy. A regular record of both has to be maintained. A detailed account of each of the heads of revenues and expenses is to be recorded by the accounts department. The Arthashastra deals with this topic, covering this subject from various angles. Mostly revenue is received via a single department, but expenditures are made by different departments. Therefore, a detailed as well as collective report of the revenue and expenditures has to be maintained. Expenses have to be recorded not only as heads, but also note the individuals who are responsible for it. In this manner, it is easy to track the outgoing in an organization and who is causing it. He, the leader, should check the accounts for each day, group of 5 days, fortnight, month, 4 months, quarterly, and a year. Not only do proper records have to be maintained, it is important for the leader to check these on a regular basis. Kautilya lists the periods when these accounts should be checked. He says that the check should be carried out daily, weekly, every 15 days, monthly, quarterly, and yearly. This system, started by Kautilya 2,400 years ago, has already been widely practiced by organizations across the globe. Not only has this principle been applied to the accounting systems, it can be applied in various departments to ensure productivity. For example, if a sales target or the deadline for completing a project is set, the leader has to keep checking the progress on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly basis. This will keep the employees on their toes and the leader alert and active. Jack Welch, the former head of GE, once said, "Regular reporting and inspections are required in order to get focused and refocused on our goals." In order to get focused and refocused on our goals. Paying taxes on time. March signals the end of the financial year when people start paying their taxes. Nearly everyone is busy filling their returns and/or making investments that offer tax benefits. But should we manipulate our accounts so much that we do not pay taxes at all? Kautilya says it is the duty of the citizen to pay taxes and that of the leaders to use the taxes for nation building. Those who do not pay fines and taxes take on themselves the sins of those kings, and the kings who do not bring about well-being and security take on themselves the sins of the subjects. The concept of direct and indirect taxes and also fines was formally introduced and made systematic by Kautilya 2,400 years ago. The income of the whole government machinery depends on taxes and fines. The money thus collected is used for national security, maintenance, and development. Therefore, according to Kautilya, not paying taxes brings on our heads the sins of their leaders and the nation. On the other hand, the kings, politicians, and government officials who misuse the money collected will have to suffer for the sins of the people. While filing your returns, remember these tips. Do not wait for March. A recent survey showed that over 70% employees pay their entire salary for March as taxes. This is only because they postpone the essential. Plan your investments and tax payments in advance. A tax planner once said, "I invest $1 lakh in the beginning of the financial year, that is, in April." Have a tax consultant. Lots of changes related to taxes constantly take place in the corporate world. Even 2 years after implementing the value-added tax, VAT, and fringe benefit tax, FBT, most company owners do not understand what it entails. Engage an expert tax consultant who can help you understand these concepts. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid of inspections by the government. If you have paid your taxes and discharged your duty towards the nation, why should you be afraid of inspections or routine checks? Fear of government servants leads to corruption. Let us take an oath to fight corruption. Fighting corruption will not be necessary if one only follows the rules laid down by the Anti-Corruption Bureau. Corrupt people will be caught and punished only when each citizen awakens to the commitment of nation building. Being fearless is the only way to proceed. Do not be afraid. Profit margin. It is taken for granted that a good business venture or a well-to-do person has to have a good financial plan. Even Chanakya, centuries ago, believed that a good treasury is one of the strong pillars that supports successful businesses. He had suggested he should secure an undertaking requiring little expenditure and yielding large profit and get a special advantage. In other words, control the expenses and keep an eye on the net profit or savings. But how can one become financially successful? Well, these tips will certainly help you. Spend time budgeting. It is worth spending time on calculations. A businessman will need to calculate the time required for a project and the number of people required. A salaried person would be concerned with his goals and the money to fund it. But both need to keep an eye on possible miscellaneous expenses. Finally, don't forget to keep some extra money aside as buffer. If you are new to such an exercise, then take the help of your seniors or people who have such experience. Keep a check on accounts. The discipline of maintaining daily accounts has to be introduced, especially in the face of deadlines and routine expenses. It may seem difficult at the start, but a daily check ensures that one is in control of one's finances. Successful companies and people know exactly how much income has been received daily, how much expense has been made, as well as the balance in the treasury. Special advantage. Earn from your experience. If you are a niche player or a talented professional, make it a point to take advantage of this and charge extra. Experts have the advantage of being rare in the market and receive a lot of offers. This advantage has to be used. With less time in hand and more to deliver, it is better to charge extra and mark up the profits. We see celebrities doing this, so can you. Cash flow. This is the bottom line, the most important factor. In any business or home, a regular cash flow is required. But the pipeline alone is not important, the conversion is. We have salaries, bills to pay, suppliers to be taken care of, and regular maintenance to be carried out. So, be sure of your plan or path and build a model where the cash flow is regular and sustainable. When financial stability is thus secured, you can take bigger risks, invest in new ventures, and gamble a little in unknown areas. For Chanakya, this was how a country became prosperous. Proper accounts. Chanakya's Arthashastra is an ancient book that explains financial procedures and systems in detail. Some of the accounting models used by Chanakya are still a wonder to modern financial wizards. Chanakya emphasized the importance of maintaining regular and daily accounts. For those who mismanaged the treasury, the punishments were outlined. If the officer does not deliver the income that is accrued, or does not pay the expenses put down in writing, or denies the balance received, that is misappropriation. But how do we maintain regular accounts in our day-to-day life? Well, here are some tips. Learn to write it down. Money management is about discipline, and only a disciplined man can keep control over his accounts. People withdraw money from ATMs and spend it without having any clue about where it went. If you also do this, you'd better make it a habit to write down your accounts daily. This should include how much money you had at the start of the day, where you spent it, how much balance was left at the end of the day. Start this exercise now. Analyze it. Just writing down your expenses is not enough. From time to time, look back and take stock. A man who had no clue about where all his money was disappearing did the above exercise, At the end of 1 month, he realized that he was spending nearly 60% of his salary on restaurant bills. He understood where his expenses could be cut. He was more aware about each rupee he spent. Differentiate between need and greed. This is the biggest challenge. While buying things, ask yourself, is it my need or greed? If you want to buy a good pair of shoes, buy it. But if you are buying 3 pairs because of a discount, that is greed. These days, every consumer faces this challenge frequently. In Gandhiji's beautiful words, there is enough for everyone's need, but not for one man's greed. Be careful with the credit card. Be very careful with the credit card. A leading financial expert said, "The credit card is the most dangerous invention of mankind." Let me repeat that. The credit card is the most dangerous invention of mankind. Truly, the buy now, spend later philosophy it encourages can be dangerous unless you pay your bills in time. Else, God save you. Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world, has never taken a credit card. Wants money. Every organization incurs fixed expenses to fund day-to-day operations. Their budgets factor in costs incurred on traveling, stationery, office maintenance, power consumption, salaries, etc. In addition to this, certain people have to be assigned advance money to handle these transactions and make payments. If this is not done, even the most well-established business could trip over minor issues. At the end of every month, the firm produces an expense statement to show how much of the advance money, known as impressed money in the modern accounting world, has been spent. It's definitely a good idea to pay attention to the smallest detail, as it better equips a businessman to analyze costs for his firm and even the end price for customers. This is not a new concept. Even Chanakya referred to it in the ancient accounting system in Arthashastra nearly 2,400 years ago. He said, "The horse attendant shall receive from the treasury and the magazine a month's allowance for the horse and carefully look after it." The above sutra gives us an insight into how even 2 millennia ago, a horse attendant was given enough food and advance money so that the horse under his supervision enjoyed good health and the person in charge did not suffer. But how do we adopt this system today? Here are a few tips. Factor in everything. If you set up a new firm using this exercise, you would actually be creating a new system too. So, you need to plan in detail, factoring in all possible expenses, including those that are likely to happen in the future. Also, take into account inflation and other price hikes. Ask an expert. Never hesitate to take advice from an expert, like a chartered accountant who has the requisite skills and knowledge. Accept the fact that you may know many things about your business, but the expert knows many businesses like yours. He can suggest more additions. His insight will help you not repeat mistakes made by others. Audit regularly. Making a system is not enough. Using the system is. Therefore, after creating a system, train your employees to use it regularly. Audit it from time to time to ensure that things are in place. This also helps you monitor and direct work in a better manner. You can engage internal auditors and external auditors. Do remember that any system you employ has to be useful, user-friendly, and able to generate the report you want at the click of a button. Paying your taxes. Come February in India, and the entire business community waits for the presentation of the union budget. Everyone looks forward to news about any new tax rules, or better still, reforms. Taxes are an extremely important tool for nation building. It's one of the major revenue streams for any government. The money collected is used for infrastructure, education, health, defense, and other similarly vital sectors. But while it's imperative that the government sets tax slabs judiciously, it's also important that all citizens pay their due taxes honestly and punctually. Even Chanakya had said, "All experts shall fix revocation in such a way that neither the donor nor the receiver is harmed. Neither the donor nor the receiver is harmed." In the above verse, we find one of the most beautiful words of advice given by Chanakya, the best way of collecting revenue. He stressed that this part of governance should not adversely affect the giver or the receiver. The giver should be happy to give, and the receiver should be able to meet his target. But why should the giver happily pay his taxes? The nation needs you. There are people who are better placed financially than others. Individuals and companies whose basic requirements are fulfilled. They need to step up and contribute to nation building, making the maximum contribution. Chanakya has not forgotten the payer's needs too. He had said taxes should be collected the way a honeybee collects honey from the flower. Beautiful. Taxes should be collected the way a honeybee collects honey from the flower. The flower is willing to give up its sweetness, but the bee also takes care that only a little is taken without hurting the flower. Why some are not taxed? I am sure that at some point or the other, you may have felt you are being taxed far more than others. But understand that these others are those who have been left behind by society. These are the financially insecure people who are still struggling to buy such basic needs as food, clothing, shelter, and need a semblance of financial security. Naturally, not only will they require tax exemption, but also other privileges. You have to understand that these people with your tax support will eventually come up to the first level of paying taxes themselves. For total development, this is the government's responsibility. While funds need to be allocated taking the Human Happiness Index into account, it should be distributed in such a manner that it helps the total development of the society. Even arts, sports, literature, and research need to be supported financially. And if you pay your taxes, you would basically be financing them too. It's like the Lebanese-American author Khalil Gibran wrote in The Prophet. "And if there come the singers and the dancers and the flute players, buy of their gifts also." Thus, one can support the artist directly and also indirectly by paying taxes. Making timely payments. Business is not about creating only goodwill. Rather, it's about creating real brand value in the hearts of customers, suppliers, and even the employees. One way of doing this is by making timely payments to all vendors and employees. Chanakya also emphasized the importance of paying wages on time. He even suggested penalizing those who didn't. In the case of non-payment of the wage, the fine is 1/10 or 6 pannas. In case of denial, the fine is 12 pannas or 1/5. This verse highlights the sanctity of an agreement. Even in today's world, if a person rescinds on making a promised payment after the required work is done, he can be punished under the law of the land. But in addition to adhering to the law, a leader has to also understand the benefits one gets by giving people their dues on time. A promise is a promise. When a company's chairman or the head of any department or strategic business unit promises something, he represents his entire team. It becomes his responsibility to fulfill the promise. While defining leadership qualities in the Arthashastra, Chanakya had said that one should never over-promise something and then under-deliver. Instead, he said, it is better to under-promise and over-deliver. Of course, the best thing would be to never promise anything if you are not sure about its execution. Be clear in financial dealings. The first rule of business is to look at all financial matters before committing to anything. In fact, you should also apply this rule in your personal life. It will prove to be very beneficial. If you need a new television, you should first determine what your budget is. For example, if you have only rupees 10,000, then buy a TV that costs that much. It's no use wasting time in showrooms looking at an LCD for rupees 50,000 or breaking your head over consumer loans and EMI schemes. In other words, always work out your financials first and then accept the deal. Have a clear conscience. A man of wisdom once said, "The softest pillow is a clear conscience." Wah, the softest pillow is a clear conscience. If you keep your word even in the smallest of deals, you will be able to sleep well. Of course, there's always a chance of some miscommunication or minor irritation. However, it's important to discuss and solve these issues in order to restore a good working relationship. Remember, the real goodwill is the brand you create. Nothing should be allowed to tarnish it. Dirty money. Narendra Modi, Chief Minister of Gujarat State, was addressing a gathering of businessmen in Mumbai. While he was encouraging investments in Gujarat, Modi said that dirty money was a big danger to the entire economy. Now, dirty money is not the same as black money. The word dirty is used to describe money that is used by such extreme anti-social elements as terrorists and even the mafia. If we allow its use in the mainstream economy, there will be very bad consequences. Therefore, one of the prime objectives in today's world is to make sure this kind of suspect finance and the people behind it are not supported. Chanakya had said, "For one calling another, one who is not a thief, the punishment shall be that for a thief, also for one hiding a thief." Let me repeat that. For one calling another who is not a thief, the punishment shall be that for a thief, also for hiding a thief. Now, this verse highlights something important. Never ever support wrongdoers. If that happens, one calling another, the situation will become uncontrollable. Hence, the punishment for such people will be the same as that given to the wrongdoers themselves. There are some simple things that you can do to avoid such a scenario. Deal with the right people. Regarding business and the workplace, it's important to choose the right organization. Half the battle is won when we work in a good environment and with good people. If you work with suppliers, choose those who display good ethics and right practices. If you are a housewife and are trying to choose a product from 2 different companies, choose that company which is trustworthy. Think long term. This is the biggest solution to most problems. Working with the right people may not give us immediate benefits, but in the long term, the returns will be very high. I know of many people who start working in the right companies and received small roles and salaries. Today, they are well-respected directors. So, choose wisely the company you want to keep and the career you want to build. Do it while keeping the long-term benefits in mind. Oppose what is wrong. If you find out about some wrong practices, stop it. Chanakya made it clear that keeping quiet is a big crime. I know someone who used to file a complaint for every wrong practice he noticed, whether it was a corrupt traffic policeman or an auto rickshaw driver with an extra fast meter. Today, he is feared by politicians and is an inspiration to the younger generation that is passionate about fighting corruption. Money for wealth creation. Chanakya has 2 famous works to his credit. The elaborate Kautilya's Arthashastra with nearly 6,000 verses, and Chanakya Niti, a key to Arthashastra with just 330 one-line verses. Various verses in both the books deal with the principles of creation and the management of wealth. Kautilya says that money is not wealth. It is just a tool. Wealth is ever present in the universe. Like energy, wealth is constant. It only changes its names and forms. The secret of wealth creation is to understand the movement of wealth from one person to another, from one nation to another, from one generation to another. Wealth is not only what is with you, but also what is in you. Arthashastra says that the qualities of a person, character and knowledge, are prime requirements for wealth creation. It is largely misunderstood that wealth is what is around you. Your car, your house, and other possessions do not constitute real wealth. In fact, they are byproducts of your inner wealth. The inner wealth of knowledge, experience, and wisdom are your true wealth. Without them, you cannot create external wealth. Only continuous empowerment with knowledge helps wealth flow to you. A knowledgeable man can create wealth anywhere, anytime. Be ever active in the management of the economy, because the root of wealth is economic activity. Inactivity brings material distress. Without an active policy, both current prosperity and future gains are destroyed. Chanakya says that activity is the root of wealth. An organization without active strategies, constant information flows, and regular reports cannot sustain itself. A lazy organization will plunge into distress. Wealth creation is impossible without an active policy. Without an active economic and financial policy, the present hard-earned wealth will be destroyed, and there will be no hope for future profits. Targets, deadlines, and a focused approach are just pointers to keep employees on their toes. A good, profitable organization requires continuous activity, without which wealth will never be attracted towards it. Also, individuals who are lazy will not be able to create wealth. Individuals who are lazy will not be able to create wealth. Money for more money. The objective of any king or leader or state organization is to create, expand, protect, and enjoy wealth. The objective of any king or leader or state or organization is to create, expand, protect, and enjoy wealth. The role of a CEO is very clearly defined by Kautilya at the very start of the Arthashastra. It is to create wealth for all the stakeholders of the organization, the employees, and for himself to enjoy. He should not be satisfied with what he has got. He should constantly think about how to expand his territories and reach new markets. Just as elephants are needed to catch elephants, so does one need wealth to capture more wealth. This is an old but very important aspect of wealth creation. Paisa lagaye bina paisa nahi aata. There is no business that can create wealth without any investment. The example Kautilya gives here is that of a hunter who catches elephants. Elephants always move around in groups. To catch an elephant, a hunter needs to use another elephant. Only then will the targeted one be lured away and caught. Having produced wealth, the king should know how to protect it. If, for instance, we have a vessel with a hole at the bottom, we may keep pouring more and more water into it. However, no water will stay in it unless it is protected from the leak. How does one do this? He, the leader, should constantly hold an inspection of their works, men being inconstant in their minds. He, the leader, should constantly hold an inspection of their works, men being inconstant in their minds. The employees are primarily concerned with their salaries. An attitude of complacency can crop up if regular and vigilant check is not kept on them. The reason is quite obvious. The human mind is very unpredictable. No organization can reach its goal without a continuous push and pull system. All state activities depend first on the treasury. Therefore, a king or the leader shall devote the best attention to it. In Book 1 of the Arthashastra, titled The Topic of Training, the teacher proposes a daily timetable for the king. He says that during the first part of the day, he should check the accounts of income and expenditures of the state. It is only after doing this that he is advised to look into the affairs of the citizens. Do not get carried away by the regular problems faced by your subordinates once you enter your office. Relax. Just take control of the financial status by monitoring the financial reports first. Road to Wealth. Go rural is the theme of every big corporation today. While FMCG companies eagerly wait for the post-monsoon rural demand to boost their sales, banks, which now sell myriad financial products, are gradually realizing the potential of rural areas. Several corporations are reorienting their growth strategies. ITC's E-Chowpal and Hindustan Lever's Project Shakti, for example, to bring villages into the center of their plans. Kautilya was inspired by this principle when managing his treasury. Wealth and power comes from the countryside, which is the source of all activities. Going rural has two benefits. First, the countryside is the place where raw material is available in plenty. Minerals, food crops, labor all find their sources in the countryside. Second, it is also a ready market for high-volume business. Even today, India lives in the villages. Be it the soft drinks, the mobile phones, or the insurance industry, all have already tried to penetrate the rural sector. In the Book 2 of the Arthashastra, chapter 8, verse 3, Kautilya points out various elements which contribute to the increase in the treasury. Increase in commerce and trade. Commercial activities recycle the wealth of a nation. It helps the wealth flow from one sector to the other, from one geographical area to another. Trading helps in wealth being circulated from one nation to another. Exports and imports are the lifeline of any economically developing nation. Arresting perpetrators of crime. Monitoring and controlling theft is essential. A system of checks and counter-checks are necessary to protect the treasury. Theft can be an inside job or can be influenced by external elements. Reduction in establishment. Expenses can be controlled by reducing the size of the organization. This is done by keeping the minimum required employees as well as reducing the number of liabilities. Outsourcing is one of the best ways of controlling the overheads of a company. Plenty of crops. Even today, India is an agricultural-based company. A lot depends on the monsoons. Investment in R&D in this sector to increase crop yields, better warehousing of agricultural produce, and food processing could add significantly to the growth of the economy. Plenty of marketable goods. Sales and marketing should be supplied with enough products. Availability of stocks at the right time, sales order processing, logistics and distribution have to be in place to ensure the achievement of any sales target. Freedom from calamities. A lot of unseen and unknown factors affect the economy of a nation, organization, and also individuals. The board of directors should consider all these aspects under the risk management plan of an organization. Insurance, savings, and good investment plans are the steps taken to ensure freedom from calamities.
Security and monitoring systems. Everyone knows how important security is. Still, most people do not maintain a proper monitoring and vigilance system, although it can avoid or at least immensely contain and confine leaks. Without a proper security system, processes will get out of control one day, and this could be fatal for the organization. Chanakya has devised systems for the security and protection of goods in an organization. He says, Every object should go out of or come into the palace after it is examined and its arrival or departure is recorded. In an office, there are many transactions taking place daily. People come in and go out, goods are delivered, some are sent out. Such exchanges are more common in manufacturing sectors like factories and other production units. Chanakya has clearly noted the importance of good, strict security procedure systems and documentation of all goods-related transactions in the organization. He also suggests that before they are recorded, the information should be examined to ensure that what is recorded is correct and genuine. How do we follow this advice in today's corporate scenario? Here are some suggestions. Use technology. We now have various gadgets and equipments that easily record and document all transactions. Cameras perched on top of gates for surveillance, barcoding for tracking goods, and other such systems and processes can make things easy and save a lot of time. Technology also has the added advantage of reducing human errors. Make your system unique. Even though there are various ready-made software packages available in the market for security purposes, make sure that you pick the one that records all the things that are important and useful to you. If need be, get a tailor-made system in order to get the required reports as quickly as possible. Monitor the system. Just setting up a working system will not ensure its smooth functioning. Make sure that you, as a manager, keep checking the system at regular intervals. In this way, the security personnel and even the general staff will always be on their toes. Conduct surprise inspections. This is the most effective way to keep security under your control. Keep a close and unannounced watch on the people who handle your security systems. Subject them to surprise checks. At times, it is also important to transfer security personnel without giving them any notice. Finally, do remember that security is not just about having technology in place. Rather, security is about you being alert and vigilant all the time for all the required processes. After all, like a leading consultancy once noted to its dismay, it just doesn't work if you check all the visitors and bags on the way in, but hardly ever when they are going out. Right business partner. In today's corporate world, getting funds is not really a problem. The Indian market is flooded with money for anyone who comes up with good ideas. Of course, in the initial stages while struggling, a new businessman may think his idea is not good. However, if he strongly believes in his own idea and continues to put in efforts, the situation will change eventually. He will even find many people who are ready to finance his company. This is when he gets opportunities for finding a new and financially stronger partner. However, when such offers come flooding in, the challenge is to choose the right partner. Chanakya advises, if situated between two stronger kings, he should seek shelter with one capable of protecting him. So, when multiple potential partners arrive with a lot of money and experience, you should be very alert and cool-headed. After all, a wrong choice can ruin the business that you have created from scratch. To make the correct choice, one should be able to evaluate each potential partner's strengths and only then tie up with the one who is strongest. Here are a few tips to determine who will be the right partner. Consider your values. Business is about the values you follow. Each person invests his feelings, hopes, and emotions into the organization. When a new partner enters the picture, it is important to consider if your values and his values match. Both parties should have the same wavelength. The long-term approach. At times, One may impulsively accept funds when it's readily available, but consider all possibilities and devise a long-term strategy before you tie up with anyone. Else, the situation will resemble that of a person who has been looking for a spouse for a long time, and as soon as anyone says yes, the person will get married, only to realize later that this was the greatest blunder in his or her life. So, check your partner's credentials with known sources before the partnership becomes legal. It may take some time, but you will be the winner in the long run. It's not just money. Partnerships are not just about money. It is not just plain give and take. In fact, it is about a lifelong relationship that needs to be worked upon. As Stephen Covey says in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, you need to develop an emotional bank account. You will have to spend time with your partners regularly. It is necessary to communicate with them so that the relationship strengthens beyond just business transactions. Remember, every business story is the story of building the right team to work with and being able to work together. No wonder then that choosing the right team members is highly important to win the game. Effective meetings. Meetings, and more meetings. As you climb higher up the corporate ladder and your business grows, meetings will become an inevitable part of your life. Meetings are like a double-edged sword. They are either a waste of your time or you can scale up your business. It all depends on how effective you are in conducting meetings. Chanakya gives us some tips on this issue. He should declare without loss of time what is in the king's interest. The following are also some tips that can help you in meetings. Have an agenda. Most meetings are a big drain on one's time because there is no clear agenda. The purpose of the meeting has to be clear. The best meetings are those that take into consideration the vision of the company or what is of interest to the seniors. Preparing an agenda gives a sense of direction to the meeting. If you have called for the meeting, then ensure that the agenda is clearly communicated to the others. Also, ensure maximum attendance and least confusion by telling the participants in advance about the day, time, and venue of the meeting. As Bill Gates wrote it in his book, Business at the Speed of Thought, those meetings that are planned well in advance are the most effective ones. Give direction. You can be open for a brainstorming session or a discussion, but that should not allow the meeting to go astray. As a chairperson, you need to give the meeting a sense of direction. You have to be like a good television talk show anchor. When the answers to any question are going off track, or if the person being questioned is talking too much, you cut him off diplomatically and move to the next question. Come to the point ASAP as soon as possible. This is very critical. Meetings need to be started off like any other session. Be casual. Ask the team about the status of the project. Find out if there are any issues, offer tea, start the discussion, etc. However, as the meeting proceeds, it is very necessary to come to the point as soon as possible, ASAP. We have to monitor our time. Therefore, the success of any meeting lies in having only a few and important points in the agenda. Most importantly, as the meetings come to the end, make an action plan, take decisions and execute them. Otherwise, it will be like the old office joke. When our boss has nothing to do, he calls for a meeting. Planning a business trip. Traveling is a very important part of business development. It helps you approach new clients, try new markets, and get feedback on new products and services that your firm may be experimenting with. In today's globalized corporate world, traveling across the country or even across continents is an essential part of any business. Exploring new business development opportunities, reaching new investors, or seeking joint ventures or JVs are common and important tasks even in small-sized companies. But planning for your business travel is an equally important task. Chanakya gives us a hint. He should start after making proper arrangements for vehicle, draft animals, and retinue of servants. Here are some additional tips to be kept in mind while planning for your business trip. Have a clear travel plan. It is very important to make a clear travel plan, complete with an itinerary for the number of days you will be in the new region. Take into consideration the requirement of time, money, and various other factors. Use local context to make your plan clear and precise. Leave some extra time to explore any unexpected opportunities. Your traveling team. Who are the people traveling with you? How many? What are their roles? These are some important questions that need to be answered. A team also adds strength to your mission. That is why government officials always travel with a delegation. Study potential prospective targets well. Even before you leave, study the prospective target. Most of the basic information will be available on the internet. Verify the information through trusted sources. When face-to-face with them, ask them specific questions to make sure all the information is correct. After all, if you are looking at a long-term association, you need to make sure you are signing a deal with the right partner. Do not close deals immediately. At times it is very exciting to close deals in the very first meeting. Resist this temptation. All that glitters is not gold. The first impression need not necessarily be the lasting impression. Come back home. Then with a cool mind, restudy all the important areas and with the help of experts, take the next step. Remember, while every new opportunity is a possibility, it is important to do a little bit of thinking so that you can handle future events better. You should aim to be like the successful businessman who was once offered $1 billion as investment in his company. Quick came his reply. Thanks for the offer. We'll get back to you soon. Public relations. Peter Drucker, the well-known management guru, had once remarked that one of the top priorities of a business leader is to network, socialize, and maintain great PR or public relations. It's all about great relationships that you maintain with your clients, suppliers, shareholders, employees, and every other person you come in contact with. Even our own ancient guru and probably the first management thinker, Chanakya, brought out the same idea in his book of advice for kings and other leaders. He should establish contacts with forest chieftains, frontier chiefs, and chief officials in the cities and the countryside. But how to build a network and maintain contacts is an art every leader has to develop. Here are some tips. Attend meetings. For a CEO, not a single day should go by without meeting at least one new person. He must attend business conferences, training programs, or even one-to-one meetings with important people. In addition to making contacts, he should even start learning from the experiences of others. Keep in touch. Collecting contact details may not be enough. Most of us return from various conferences with a pile of visiting cards and do nothing about it. Hence, a follow-up with each important person is a must. Think of the business possibilities with each person you met and work out a proposal. Two-way approach. Most businessmen go wrong by thinking only of the benefits that he will get from the new contact. Rather, think about how you will be able to help them. At times, you can offer a tip or suggestion that will scale up their business, help them, and probably they will help you when you need them. long-term approach. In human relationships, time is important, and in business, timing is important. But to know the right timing, you have to spend enough time. To know the right timing, you have to spend enough time. Never spoil any potential business relationship just because it may not appear to be immediately beneficial. One has to always think about the long term. Take it slow but sure. You never know. A person who seems small today may become a giant tomorrow, while a giant today may be out on the streets later. Always remember that while leadership is an art, business is a far more superior art. It requires the understanding of people, understanding their minds, and also understanding the various factors that fulfill each person. Thus, in business, PR cannot be done by just outsourcing it to an agency. You may have a PR agency if required, and your personal involvement, your time and effort must be invested wisely. Honor men with quality. Honor men with qualities. A sharp person knows how to differentiate between ordinary men and great men. And if a leader can successfully inculcate this quality, he can easily become victorious in all walks of life. Just like a jeweler does, one should have the knack of differentiating between rare gems and ordinary stone. According to Chanakya, the greatest resource a business has is the workforce. In fact, people are the source of all great achievements, all of which are performed by men who have great quality. And it's these qualities that have to be recognized and honored. Chanakya, while defining these qualities, had said, "Men are to be honored on account of excellence in learning, intellect, valor, noble birth, and deeds." In other words, men of each type have to be honored in any organization. Let us look at each type separately. Men of learning. Men of learning are the most respected people in every society. Other than academic and scholarly learning, this description also relates to men having the wisdom of experience. In India especially, we've always held men of learning in very high esteem. A sociologist once said, "A society that does not respect men of learning is bound to collapse." Valor, the brave, the fighters, they have that extra quality in them to go on in spite of problems. They are even ready to face death if required. Such people are called Kshatriyas. They are the soldiers and guards who protect us. As the armies say, "We keep awake in the nights, so that all of you can sleep peacefully." Noble birth. Persons born in noble families are automatically respected. Now, this is not being caste biased or racist. However, we find that certain qualities are genetic. The family background also influences the personality of a person. Deeds. Finally, your actions speak louder than your words. What you achieve will automatically command respect. Therefore, men who have done great and noble deeds need to be respected too. When you identify such persons, you can associate with them and learn from them. You will then find that the benefits you get can be plotted on an upward sloping curve. This is especially true in the world of business. It is said that J.R.D. Tata was able to identify quality men. He made them part of his team, and the Tatas have been succeeding for generations. A good meeting. Bill Gates had said in his book, Business at the Speed of Thought, "The most effective meetings are the ones in which the participants come well prepared." The participants come well prepared. This is true. And Chanakya had made this rule a long time ago in our country. He wanted people to not only be punctual for meetings, but also be well prepared with reports. If they turned up without reports, they were actually fined or even punished. He said, For managers not coming at the proper time or coming without the account books and balances, the fine shall be 1/10 of the amount due. The fine shall be 1/10 of the amount due. Disciplined behavior during meetings is very important. Chanakya also listed other important aspects of a well-prepared meeting. Why have a meeting? A meeting is an event where two or more people meet to discuss certain ideas. In a company, most meetings have an agenda. For example, a sales review meeting. This will require the sales team to get together and discuss the targets achieved, upcoming strategies to meet the next targets, and also the plans for moving ahead. A meeting is also held to exchange ideas. It is an opportunity to network, understand the working styles of others, as well as to share or seek information. The benefits of a good meeting. A good meeting is one that has a clear agenda. The timing for such meetings is worked out well in advance and communicated to all. It starts on time and also ends on time. People feel good after such a productive meeting rather than feel frustrated at having to sit through one meeting flowing into another without any progress being made. In today's scenario especially, when time is a precious commodity, one should not call for a meeting without a clear agenda. Every second has to be productive. Preparing for a good meeting. The first thing one must prepare is what needs to be communicated. This is the role of the organizer. Remember, you have to communicate 4 things to the relevant participants way before they even get together. Where, when, who, and what. Where is the meeting going to be held, the venue? When? The time, both start and end time. Who? The chairperson or speaker for the session. And what? The agenda and the topic for the meeting. In any event, if you are a participant in the meeting, you must always come prepared with relevant reports and required papers. When asked for any particular information, no time should be wasted. A quick and prompt response will help the decision-making process. Additionally, try to understand the importance of a meeting. Be a good organizer, conductor, and participant. Also, never hesitate to teach others the importance of effective meeting. Finish what you have started. I have a friend who seems destined to end each and every project he takes up with nothing but success. I once asked him to share his secret with me. He said, "Before taking on any new project, I always complete the previous work I have undertaken. That ensures that I single-mindedly and successfully finish every project I take up." These words immediately reminded me of a verse by Chanakya. Activity is that which brings about the accomplishment of works undertaken. Very few people are good at completing the work they have already started. Very few people are good at completing the work they have already started. Instead, almost all of us keep on taking new projects, accept new orders, and even pick up new books to read without asking ourselves, shouldn't I first complete the existing one? No wonder we land up with various problems like stress, atrocious time management, and a pathetic work-life balance. Why don't we first complete the work we already have at hand? Chanakya says that this happens because we are not active. We have to act to complete all existing work. There is simply no alternative to this. And you only need to remember a few steps. List all pending work. If you want to see why your life is in a mess, try this simple exercise. List the number of activities that you have started but not completed or finished till date. It could be finishing a report, calling up and thanking the organizers of an event, or simply completing that book you picked up. If you're honest, you will be shocked at the size of your list. Plan it and do it. Now, list the time required for completing each unfinished work. For example, it may take half an hour to finish that report, or about 5-10 minutes to call and thank the organizers of that party. Or the book you started reading and left midway may take about 3 more hours to finish. Keep some time aside, say about an hour daily, to complete these unfinished tasks. More importantly, you must actually do it. More importantly, you must actually do it. Don't just think about doing it. Make it a habit. This exercise may look difficult initially. After all, we all do get into the dirty habit of procrastinating. But if we really discipline ourselves by completing all unfinished tasks, our self-confidence will grow and we will even yearn for bigger challenges. The chairman of a multinational firm once revealed to me that he spends his Saturdays just completing any work that may have been left unfinished. This shows how important it is to be a good finisher rather than just being a good starter. Want to succeed? Kautilya's Arthashastra comprises 15 books. Of these, the 6th book has only 2 chapters. Yet, it's very important as it explains how a king can run his kingdom successfully. It also lists the 3 ways to succeed and how we can do it. Chanakya had said, "Success is threefold. That attainable by the power of counsel is success by counsel. That attainable by the power of might is success by might. That attainable by the power of energy is success by energy." While it takes a lifetime full of valuable experience to understand the meaning of these words, we can at least understand its essence. Succeed by counsel. There are many people who try and keep trying and still don't succeed. Frustrated, they believe it's not in their destiny to succeed. But they might have just not got the right advice from the right person. I remember a foreigner who was trying to set up a business here and could not get started for nearly 2 years. He finally approached a legal advisor who gave him just a few tips, and he was off. This accurately portrays the first kind of success, which, according to Chanakya, is achieved by listening to and learning from the right experts. Succeed by might. When we fight our battles alone, the chances of winning are less. Together we grow, a spiritual master had once rightly said. Therefore, the second method is to succeed by might, that is, by the power of association. I have a friend who is into politics. He always rues the fact that he had to spend a lot of time trying to understand just how politics worked. "I wish I had a godfather who could guide me," he once confessed. That's as close to the truth as you will get in today's highly competitive world. In life, if we get to associate with a powerful person, success is virtually guaranteed. Succeed by energy. There are quite a few people who, even if they cannot achieve success via the first 2 methods, still succeed driven purely by their energy and dynamism. Their enthusiasm is very contagious too. They have a never-give-up spirit. For them, life is not about how many times one fails. Rather, it's about the feeling success is just a step away. They learn from their mistakes, from books, from every person they meet, and from every event in their life. Life is a journey for them and never a destination. Remember, success is an attitude a person develops. So never give up until you achieve your goal. Chanakya had said, even after 100 trials, an enthusiastic man will surely succeed. Even after 100 trials, an enthusiastic man will surely succeed. Working together. In the 1970s and 80s, many Indian companies were gearing up to landmark events. Globalization had not yet begun. Computers were just being introduced, and mobile phones and the internet were still ideas. Those were the days when the biggest challenge Indian industries faced were labor problems. Misunderstandings between the various labor unions and the company management occurred all the time. Obviously, not all negotiations produced positive results. Many companies succumbed to those tense situations, eventually shutting down with entire industries suffering. Only a few organizations emerged as winners. A key question often asked then was, is it possible to have complete cooperation between unions and management? Well, even the experts weren't sure of an answer. However, Chanakya had a solution. He had said, "And without informing the employer, the union shall not remove anyone or bring in anyone." So in Chanakya's time, while a union had to be completely in line with the wishes of the management, they also consulted each other before taking decisions. So what are the lessons our generation can learn from this? Unions will exist. Today, many management thinkers feel that the days of the union are over. This is not true. Only the name and form changes. What is a union? It is a group of people coming together on a common platform. They discuss their issues together and put forward their proposals to their seniors. This exists even today. Look at the various committees and groups in any company. As any seasoned corporate official will admit, things flow smoothly only after such problems and issues are sorted out early. Need for a common vision. Whichever corporate office or industry we work in, we have to realize that we are not fighting against each other but against the bigger enemies. Therefore, it's important for the top leaders to communicate to the whole organization the company's objectives and goals. This will help everyone in the company, including not just the seniors but also the juniors, share a common vision. Regular communication. One's responsibility doesn't end with just informing the workforce about policies and developments once in a blue moon. As with any relationship, the strength lies in regular and effective communication. Even though there could be hierarchies and different levels in an organization, it's important to meet everyone from time to time and discuss issues and problems. This becomes the firm's strength. No outsider is required to solve a problem if people inside the house are completely in tune with each other. In the end, remember that it's not I that should win, but that we all should win with the right methods and for the right purpose. Get everyone involved. Problems are always cropping up in any organization. The moment a problem crops up, all the employees need to think about how it can be solved rather than just sit and worry about it. They should never expect that the solution will always come from a particular person, department, or group of people. Chanakya had a suggestion for this. He should fight with the mobilization of all troops. In other words, the entire office team has to come together when fighting a problem. For example, if your company's sales figures are affected, don't expect only the sales and marketing department to look into the issue. Call key persons from all departments and brainstorm the issue together. You will then see a different, possibly better approach to the problem. Here's a step-by-step process for solving problems together. Identify the problem. Before solving a problem, identify and understand it thoroughly. It's just like a medical diagnosis, which is necessary to identify the root cause of an ailment and find the required medicine. Thus, if challenged with problems as varied as attrition, financial issues, sales targets, or any other, first identify where the problem started. Think from different perspectives. Do not assume that your first diagnosis is correct. Take a second opinion. It would be even better if you called for a meeting of all senior people. For example, if the manufactured goods are not up to the mark, do not just blame the production team. Instead, call all the department heads like purchase, R&D, and even sales and ask them for their opinion on how the issue can be solved. This will help you attack the problem from different perspectives. Create a task force. Now, after analyzing the problem, it is important to fight it till it goes away completely. You have to create a team or a task force, for a single person can get demotivated tackling it alone. Another advantage of a team is that any of its members can take a break or rest for some time while the others continue brainstorming, and this will help maintain morale. Remember, the whole dynamics of a battle changes when the entire team is focused on winning the battle, no matter who is crowned the best warrior. The secret of teamwork that guarantees success is that each individual has to surrender to the higher goal. Power of communication. A business school conducted a survey of its former students' careers, grading them 20 years after they completed the course. Surprisingly, the successful ones were not the toppers, but those who knew how to work in teams and, more importantly, had good communication skills. Chanakya knew the power of communicating well. In fact, he highlighted how it's even easy to use words as a weapon and how to avoid this from happening. Defamation, vilification, and threat constitute verbal injury. When you get down to it, you realize that every person requires appreciation. If you cannot appreciate others, you certainly can't indulge in the opposite. Defamation. It means to defame or insult a person. This is often used as a tool by people to get public support. Politicians, celebrities, and well-known people always use and abuse defamation. Any top-level official in an organization also becomes a soft target for defamation. Basically, it questions the credibility and goodwill of the person. You should never defame anyone unless and until you have your facts right. Vilification. This means backbiting. But you should remember this rule. If you want to appreciate someone, do it in front of others. If you want to tell him about his wrongdoings, do it when he is alone. Backbiting does not solve any problem. In fact, it's a sign of a weak person. If you feel there is something wrong, go and explain this directly to the person concerned and also tell them why you feel the situation needs to be corrected. You see, backbiting creates a lot of negative energy, which is harmful not only to the person targeted, but also to the one who does it, as well as those who listen to it. This has to be avoided. This means warning a person and trying to infuse fear into him. While phrases like, "do this or else," are commonly used by competing youngsters, in the adult world it is considered a crime to threaten anyone. Never try to infuse fear into a person. The reason is that not only does this constitute a crime in the eyes of the law, but for you in the long term, you never know when the person will find the strength to hit back. The best way to communicate is in a soft yet firm manner. Chanakya had once said, when you communicate, it should be satyam and priyam, that is, being truthful in a nice manner. Develop these qualities to succeed in life. Stopping fights. The human mind is very unpredictable. At times it gets attached to certain ideas and becomes obstinate about it. Then when someone else comes along with a conflicting idea, it leads to some kind of friction and may even result in a fight. Such behavior can be very destructive if not controlled at the initial stages. Interpersonal rivalries, corporate battles, wars between countries all rarely leave even the most neutral party untouched. Hence, fights have to be stopped, especially group conflicts, and this can be done only with the help of group psychology. Chanakya, a master psychologist, had a solution. Strife among subjects can be averted by winning over the leaders among the subjects or by removal of the cause of strife. Let us take this advice step by step. Identify the problem. When a fight occurs, it immediately distorts the region's peace and a lot of time and energy is wasted. As a strategist, it's important to end the fight and move on in life. However, to do this, it's essential to deeply analyze the situation from all angles and find the root cause of the problem. You need to plan a tentative solution, if not a permanent solution, to end the present fight. Talk to group leaders. Ask any police officer how they try to calm things down during riots, and they will tell you that the first step is to get the warring factions talking. But it may not be easy to tackle a group of 100 people if all of them are marching towards you on the streets. The solution is to identify who the group leaders and influencers are. Call them out separately and talk to them. If the leader is convinced, the whole group comes under control. It's like shutting down a machine in an emergency. Instead of switching off hundreds of buttons, it's better to put off the main switch to deactivate the entire set. Solve the problem. Do not spend all your energy on just discussions and debates. Peace has to be achieved. So, the aim should not be forgotten. Solve the main problem and end the fight. In the Arthashastra, Chanakya talks about the theories of Sam, or discussions, Dan, offering or rewards, Dand, punishments, and Bhed, creating a split. You can use these methods alternatively as the situation demands it to achieve your goal. Teamwork. The most successful companies, organizations, and groups have one thing in common: the ability to ignore individual differences and work as a team. Teamwork is the most essential ingredient that helps groups achieve various goals in spite of various ups and downs. The leader may be talented and capable as an individual, but he cannot achieve his goals without the help of an efficient team. As one goes up the management ladder, the leader realizes that the most important role of the captain is to lead a good team. He needs to delegate and share his responsibilities with other efficient team members. Apart from his own performance, he needs to play the role of a strategist. Kautilya warns leaders who think they can manage on their own without the help of others about their folly. Rulership can be successfully carried out only with the help of associates. Rulership can only be successfully carried out with the help of associates. One wheel alone does not turn. Therefore, he should appoint ministers and listen to their opinion. One wheel alone does not turn. Good generals have good lieutenants. Good CEOs have good managers. They complement each other. As the vehicle cannot run on one wheel, similarly, a CEO cannot perform without good managers. There are a lot of hidden benefits of good teamwork. No one is indispensable. Too much dependency on one person is very dangerous. However, if we have a good team, his absence is made up by another talented or skilled person. It not only eliminates dependency, but also keeps everyone on their toes performing well. Individual weaknesses are covered up. Everyone makes mistakes, but these must be seen as lessons. Other team members perform their best to cover up the loss. In the end, the total result matters, not the individual achievements. Individual strengths become total strength. Every person has his own strengths. Now, individual strengths become total strength. Each person has his own strengths. Now, these individual strengths collectively become more powerful. Remember the concept of synergy? 1 + 1 is greater than 2. 1 + 1 is greater than 2. One always performs better as a team rather than as individuals. You think along with others. Each person has a different understanding of the same situation. Take the opinion of the team members with the help of a little brainstorming. Thus, one thinks about a solution with the help of another person's mind. As Stephen Covey says, strength lies in differences, not in similarities. Thus, One thinks of a solution to a problem with the help of another person's mind. Therefore, it is important for a leader to appoint the right managers, listen to their opinions, and proceed with a certain strategic plan. Theodore Roosevelt, the 26th President of the United States, was once asked about teamwork. He said, "The best executive is the one who has sense enough to pick good men to do what he wants done, and self-restraint enough to keep from meddling with them while they do it." This also takes a lot of pressure off and unwanted expectations from the leader. Brainstorming. Many management words and jargon currently used in the modern corporate world define actions that were practiced in India ages ago. One of them is the concept of brainstorming. Kautilya in the Arthashastra gives us a step-by-step formula on how to conduct a brainstorming session. Brainstorming can be used not only for crisis management but also for the creation of new ideas and innovative thinking. Kautilya's tips can also be followed by project managers who want to effectively use the skills of their team members. He says, in an urgent matter, he should call together the councillors as well as the council of ministers and ask them what the majority among them declare, or what is conducive to the success of the work that he, the leader, should do. Call for a meeting. Whenever there is any important or urgent matter to be resolved, the first step is to call for a meeting of the team members and advisors. One can involve not only the managers but also the non-managerial staff, as well as external experts in the discussion. Ask them. The leader should be very clear about the particular issue that he is seeking a solution for. If the important issue is not brought into focus properly, it will be like a blind person leading the blind. One finds that without direction, it does not matter how many meetings are planned, they all end up as a waste of time. Therefore, ask everyone the right questions. Take the input of the majority. What the maximum people in the group consider to be the ideal solution should be taken into consideration. The leader should also take note of the smallest suggestion, even if it may not be applicable in the current situation. Maybe these small suggestions will be useful to solve some other problem. Decide if the majority is right. Just because the majority has a particular opinion, it may not necessarily be right. Therefore, Kautilya says the final decision of what should be the next step should be decided only by the leader. While creating an action plan, he should consider what is conducive to the success of the work. Finally, everything is dependent on the results, not just on the generation of ideas. Akio Morita, the founder of Sony, wanted to create the first ever VHS videotape. For months he brainstormed with his team what the size of such a videotape should be. This led to no clear solution. One day, out of frustration, he threw a book on the center of the table. "I want the tape to be of this size. I don't care how you do it." In a few months, the first VHS tape was out in the market. The size of that book. Teaming up to succeed. Working in a team is better than working alone. This is the key to success when it comes to working on a project. Chanakya puts the same thought in the following verse. "Let us too build a fort. Man is a social animal and requires the help of others to survive. From a competitive mindset, one should move to a compatibility mindset. Leaders should develop the ability to work in teams and also inspire their teams to work together. And this applies to all the facets of life, at the workplace, in a competitive market, or even while managing home affairs. Discuss the project before you start. Better to involve than just inform. Better to involve than just inform. If you're going to take up a new assignment, call your people and tell them about it. What do you feel? Is there a better way to do it? The suggestions and opinions will help you look at the project from different angles. Sometimes the best ideas come from the bottom. Even a child's simple ideas can be highly beneficial. Show the direction, but let them walk. As a team leader, this is your most important role. Tell them where to go and when to reach there. Let them decide which route to take. Give them the freedom to complete the work their way. Most leaders have a major problem in this regard. When I did it the last time, I did it this way, and you also should do it this way, the leaders think. There are better ways of doing things. Try to adapt to change. Do not lose focus. Just by giving them the direction and freedom is not enough. As a leader, one should closely watch developments. Be around when the team requires you. Be focused and help them get refocused. A team should take regular stock of the situation and realize whether it is doing the right things or not. If the leader does not do this, he will regret later because he might have started to head north and reached the south. Keep looking at your compass. Enjoy together. The journey itself is the destination. Remember, happiness is not in then and there, but lies in the now and here. Do not forget to enjoy the journey. Have fun while working together. Share the team's joys and sorrows. Stress is the result of not taking breaks and sharing burdens. So sit down and have a cup of tea and some Gluco biscuits. When you succeed, celebrate. In case you lose, get up again and move ahead. As it goes, in happiness and sorrow, in illness and health, in good moments and sad, together we shall be. Common purpose. Life is all about partnerships, be it between spouses, friends, or even business associates. Many relationships work and many don't. So, what is it that differentiates a successful partnership from unsuccessful ones? Chanakya gives a very clear idea about the same. He says it's the common purpose. Being not restricted as to place and time, and because of having a common purpose, allied troops are better than alien troops. Look into your own life and you will find the above verse to be very true. Whenever you get a partnership offer, always think about the possibilities of failure before you strike a deal. Have an open discussion to identify what is possible and what is not possible. Now, without much experience, how does one decide whether a particular partnership will work well or not? Here are some thoughts you can dwell on before tying the knot. Define your purpose. First things first. What do you want in life? What are your core values, your purposes, your goals and objectives, your vision, your life's mission? All these are very important parameters within which an individual operates. If, as an individual, you are not clear about your purpose, then you are only confusing yourself and you will end up confusing even those you work with. So define these areas well and create a roadmap to achieve the targets. If you have never done this exercise, take a pen and write down your purpose in life now. It will give you a tremendous focus. Have an open discussion. Once you are clear about what you want, it becomes easy to discuss your goals and objectives with another person. Have a very open discussion. As you are selling your ideas, also listen to the ideas of the person you are discussing with. Keep looking at the common objectives at a strategic level. If you find that there are areas that are common between the two of you, then there's scope for further discussion. Give time to each other. This is very important. Give time to each other. Before you sign the MOU or Memorandum of Understanding, give yourself some time. Think things through. Look at all the things that can possibly go wrong as well as all those things that could possibly go right. Be realistic.
have a long-term view. Now, before you finally take things forward comes the most important part. If at the end of all this you still feel that the deal is not workable, be unemotional and be ready to walk out. An initial uncomfortable feeling is better than suffering all life long. In leadership and management, the most important thing is what you do not do rather than what you do. So strike the right chord and have a wonderful partnership. Requirement of information. Due to the rapid growth in the information technology IT industry, any information is now available in a split second. Online search engines, mobile phones, radio, television, and newspapers also add to the ready availability of information at the speed of thought. However, one wonders if all kinds of information are really useful, or is it just junk that is being dumped on us? Some careful thought will help us use all this information productively. Kautilya in the Arthashastra says it is very important for a person to be well informed, but the important question is, why is the information required? Coming to know what is known, definite strengthening of what has become known, removal of doubt in case of two possible alternatives, finding out the rest in a matter that is partly known, this can be achieved with the help of ministers. Let us look at each aspect of information separately. Realizing what is known. Some information we get is already known to us. India's win in the cricket match could be direct information that you might have received while watching a live telecast. The same information may be repeated in the next day's newspapers. This information has very less value addition. Definite strengthening of what has become known. At times the information provided is half-baked. We are not sure if it is correct. An additional information resource will help us understand if what is hearsay is correct or not. We come to know that the director of a particular company has quit. This may not be correct information. It has to be cross-checked with the person who is directly working in that company. Removal of doubt in case of two possible alternatives. Let us consider a situation where a hotel has been publicized as a 5-star property by its marketing team, while the news is that it falls only in the 4-star category. There is a conflict of information. In that case, the right information, maybe from the Hoteliers Association or from the Tourist Board's reports, will help one make the correct assessment. Finding out the rest in a matter partly known. Most of the information floating around is not necessarily correct. They could be just gossips, rumors, and personal viewpoints. Therefore, it is essential to verify the facts and conduct research before we rush to make judgments. This is done by going to the primary source of the information rather than relying only upon secondary sources. Most important, all information is really not required. One should be focused on what one wants. As Philip Kotler, the marketing guru, says, marketing research and market intelligence should give the information that you require, not what others want you to know. Principles of management. All management theories and concepts are based on certain principles. These essentials are the foundations with which we evaluate if the manager has been efficient, the organization productive, and the objectives achieved. Today, management is not just a subject, but it is also considered a science and an art. But what exactly is management? How does one define management? Various voluminous books are available to answer this question. However, Kautilya has given the most refined view of management in a single verse, as short as 5 pointers in verse 42 of chapter 15 of book 1 of the Arthashastra. Chanakya says the basic elements of management are the means of starting undertakings, assignments, and projects. When we say we have to manage, the question is what to manage. We need some project or assignment in order to start acting upon it. Without a project or an assignment, one cannot be called a manager. However, the best manager is the one who not only takes up a project given by his boss, but instead creates projects on his own. Stephen Covey, in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, describes this as proactiveness, the highest quality of a good leader. The excellence of men and material. A manager has some resources which can be used according to his discretion to accomplish his tasks. They are the men who work under his direction and the tools that are used by him and these men. Hence, the other quality of a good manager is to make his men highly productive and ensure the optimum utilization of materials like machinery, space, budgets, etc. given to them in order to reach the objectives. Deciding the suitable time and place. Management is all about deciding the right place and right time to make our moves. Like in warfare, the timing is very crucial. When the enemy must be attacked is not a question to be answered quickly. It requires careful planning, analysis, and also patience. This sense of the right timing comes from one's own experience, knowledge, and also guidance from other sources. Provision against failure. Every move has to be carefully planned, taking into consideration 2 alternatives. The best case scenario, success, and the worst situation, total failure. Therefore, some kind of backup is required for every move. One needs to have alternative solutions ready in case of failure. A businessman was once asked the secret of his success, for which he replied, "I take into consideration maximum failures at each stage. I plan the alternative moves even before I start the venture. It's like having plan A, plan B, and plan C in place." Accomplishment of work. Finally, management is all about getting results. All said and done, at the end of the day, the achievement of results is what finally counts. It is very important to set a parameter to check if we have actually achieved what we set out for. That takes us to the first aspect of management, starting a project. Every project is started with a certain objective in mind. The process gets evolved and refined, but finally, the target has to be achieved even if the route taken to get there is different. Keep an open mind. The mind is like a parachute. It works only when it is open. Some of the best business ideas come from listening to others. Chanakya emphasizes the importance of this point for various leaders. He should despise none, but should listen to the opinion of everyone. A wise man should make use of the sensible words of even a child. A father was once watching his daughter play. She went to her mother and asked, "Mummy, when will I get my new doll?" The mother replied, "It will take a few days. We will have to go to the shop, which means we will have to travel for at least 2 hours." Her father, who was thinking of a new business venture, realized the lack of a toy shop in their area. After a little bit of market research, he understood that, like them, all the parents in the area had to travel a long way to buy a toy for their children. He started a toy shop in the area and became a successful businessman. One never knows where the next biggest idea will come from. The art of effective listening is very important in business. Even the most unexpected person could give you the key information and direction that you might have been waiting for years. The following are some keys of effective listening. Despise none. Despise none. One should be able to listen to everyone without any preconceived notions. Politicians use this as their most effective tool to gather information at both the top and the grassroots level. At one moment, They could be listening to investment proposals made by business tycoons, while the next moment they might be listening to the complaints of a local resident. Taking the total picture into consideration, they plan their next move. Even a child's viewpoint is to be considered, as Kautilya said. Never react. At times, while listening to the opinion of others, it is tempting to say, "Oh, I already know that. I know it will not work." However, one should know how to control oneself. Cutting off a person while he is talking is not just an insult to him, but will also end the possibilities of understanding the central message he is trying to convey. Remember this. Remember this. The most important thing in communication is to hear what hasn't been said. Make use of the ideas. You may have the best ideas, but what is the use if you do not benefit from these ideas? Information is useless unless it is applied for an effective purpose. Hence, we need to experiment with whatever we have understood. Successful businessmen are not those who just sit around and only think. They are men of dynamic action, who are ready to take calculated risks and give their best to make an idea and plan work. If you do not use your ideas, someone else surely will. Managing multiple projects. Every leader, manager, and executive has to handle multiple tasks at any given point of time. This is unavoidable. He may have been appointed for a particular work. However, with time, he will naturally get more and more responsibilities. Management guru Peter Drucker, in his book on the profession of management, is compassionate while describing the role of manager. He says, "The role of today's manager is very difficult. In any given situation, he has to handle multiple projects and assignments. He is always under pressure. He is always under pressure." Kautilya advises us on how to manage multiple projects and make more profits for the company. And they should bring about the commencement of what is not done, the carrying out of what is commenced, the improvement of what is being carried out, and the excellence of the execution of orders in the case of works. I'm just going to repeat that because this is very, very meaningful. And they should bring about the commencement of what is not done, the carrying out of what is commenced, the improvement of what is being carried out, and the excellence of the execution of orders in the case of works. He looks at 4 types of works that an executive has to carry out. Commencement of what is not done. There are many things that need to be done. Good managers are those who start work on their own rather than wait for the bosses to tell them what to do. Each person has to be proactive. He needs to build his own pipeline. New work has to be started. New experiments have to be tried. New techniques have to be applied. Carrying out what has been commenced. A project manager said it well. It is not important how many projects I started, but how many I have completed. Everyone knows about pressure getting built up simply because we are not able to complete the jobs we started. Procrastination is the worst disease. Once you pick up this bad habit, decisions are not taken on time, papers get piled up, and people lose focus. The best solution is the old saying, "What you ought to do tomorrow, do today. What you want to do today, do it now." Improvement of what is being carried out. One needs to ensure that the work started should end up with high-quality output. We should continuously strive for excellence. The core idea of the Japanese theory called Kaizen is that there is scope for continuous improvement in each task a person can do. Excellence then becomes a habit. Excellence in execution of orders. This means effective delegation. A manager, like all the other employees, has limited time and resources. Thus, in order to perform multiple tasking, he has to delegate some tasks to either his team members or he must outsource some activities. Learning this art of effective delegation is very essential if one wants to climb up the corporate ladder. Management is not about only doing work on your own, but getting work done from others. Once, a successful CEO who always seemed relaxed was asked the secret of his cool temperament. He said, "Immediate decisions, faith in people who I have given work to, and spending more time in activities which will give us more money." Immediate decisions, faith in people whom I have given the work to, and spending more time in activities which will give us more money. Politics and politicians. Politics is dirty business. It's not for me. Most of us run away from the very word. After all, politicians are commonly perceived to be selfish, corrupt, and totally manipulative. This may be true to a great extent, but don't generalize. You can benefit a lot from good politicians more than from management books. Leaders of various organizations, especially from the corporate world, can learn a lot from politicians about how to run an organization. Kautilya declares that a king who has not learned politics is an unfit king. A king who has not learned the teaching of the science of politics is unfit to listen to counsel. It means that such a leader will not be able to benefit from the advice and suggestions given to him. For most people, reading this statement may come as a shock. However, it is by learning politics that Chanakya himself became a mastermind. A master strategist, a great visionary, a kingmaker. Kautilya was also an expert in the science of politics, which made him an unparalleled statesman. Why should a corporate leader learn politics? Well, when you learn the science of politics, you will understand the way a politician thinks. A politician is one of the most powerful persons in society. If you want to understand power, understand politics. How can we learn politics? Know your local politicians. Not many people are even aware of the names of their corporate MLA or MP. When problems arise, they blame the system. But if you know your local politicians, then you can take the initiative by making a telephone call, filing a complaint, or even asking for a meeting with them. Keep an open mind. When meeting politicians, keep an open mind. You will learn more than you expected. Politicians are wonderful resource managers, crowd pullers, and team leaders. Since they move around a lot and deal with various levels of people in society, they are more aware of the problems faced by others than a person sitting in the office knows. Learn both theory and practice. One should also start reading the rules of political science from books. Such theories can be learned from experts who have learnt academic politics, while the practical knowledge can be learnt from those occupying the all-powerful chair. There is hardly any difference between the corporate world and the political world. It's all about power and authority. It's about dealing with the people. It's about how you can sail your ship in rough weather. Constantly educate yourself. All of us must have at some time or the other heard people complaining about not getting deserved promotions or the boss not noticing their hard work. However, few realize that it is not the boss who is responsible for your growth in life, but the knowledge and the experience that you acquire. We need to continuously learn in order to grow. Only then will external benefits like increments and promotions and higher responsibilities come to us. Now, most believe that they do not get time to learn as they are fully occupied with work. So how will such busy people learn new things? This is where Kautilya advises us. During the remaining parts of the day and the night, he should learn new things and familiarize himself with those already learnt and listen repeatedly to things not learnt. During the remaining parts of the day and the night, he should learn new things and familiarize himself with those already learnt and listen repeatedly to things not learnt. It is a very simple principle of time management. Utilize your evening and night hours to learn new things instead of spending them on most unproductive things like partying or other activities which are really meaningless. Even in an office, the peak business hours are generally in the morning. The latter half of the day could and should be used meaningfully and effectively. You may even use this time to ask questions and learn from seniors about processes that you have not fully understood. Here are some tips on how you can use the second part of the day more effectively. Join a class or a course. Today, there are various courses and classes conducted during post-office hours. Even MBA courses are offered for those who can attend evening classes. If you enroll for any such course, you will automatically leave the office on time. Read books. Get into the habit of reading good books. Especially in a city like ours, you can effectively use your commuting time to do this. Choose the right books for learning new things. Do not just open any newspaper or magazine for the sake of passing time. You should read with a purpose. Meet the right people. You should make it a point to meet at least 2 new people every week. At least 2 new people every week. They should be experts in their own field who know much more than you. Go to them with humility and learn the secret of their success. All of this would no doubt make you a better man. After all, you would be following the old saying, the only time well spent is the time spent learning new things. The only time well spent is the time spent learning new things. Disaster management. Why do disasters or calamities happen? Well, who better to answer this question than the world's first management guru, Chanakya, who says, "A calamity of a constituent of a divine or human origin springs from ill luck or wrong policy. A calamity of a constituent of a divine or human origin springs from ill luck or wrong policy." So, whether we look at a state government or a corporate entity, a calamity in any place or department always happens due to 2 reasons: ill luck or wrong policy. Ill luck is when a natural calamity occurs and is not in our control. Earthquakes, floods, forest fires, etc. might be predicted, but they certainly cannot be controlled or avoided fully. However, the second type of calamity is man-made and happens due to mismanagement. Now, while these types of calamities cannot be avoided, they can definitely be managed well. But before we get into that, we need to ask ourselves, why do human beings mismanage? Chanakya gives us the answer. Inversion of excellences, absence, a great defect, addiction or affliction constitutes a calamity. Inversion of excellences, absence, a great defect, addiction or affliction constitutes a calamity. Let us look at each of them in detail. Inversion of excellence. Simply put, it means not being excellent. This happens when a manager is not proficient in his work. To avoid this, he has to be up to date with the latest developments in his own field. He should know both theory and practice, including the latest technical advances. Absence. If a person is absent on a regular and continuous basis, he will lose touch with what is happening at office. It is very necessary to take breaks from the work life, but it is equally essential to get back into action once you are back to work. Every person should know how to switch off after a break and get back to work immediately. A great defect. Sometimes a bad management team is the cause of calamities. People who are not qualified are placed at the helm, or a bad decision maker is made a leader due to the influence of his power. There could also be some personal defect in the leader which one may not be aware of. During high-pressure situations, such persons can't do anything. Worse, they run, blaming others if things go wrong. Addiction. Wine, women, wealth, and wielding power. Addictions to anything and everything will always ruin a leader's clarity of thinking. Therefore, throughout the Arthashastra, Chanakya emphasizes that the king control his senses. Only after controlling oneself can a leader control others. It means causing pain and suffering to others. There are people who create unwanted and unnecessary problems to others. When in a position of power, a person should know how to use it for the benefit of others, not misuse it. Therefore, it goes without saying that the first step towards effective disaster management is to select the right people, free from the above negative qualities. Timing it right. There is a time for everything, and everything has a time. Chanakya makes us understand this golden age-old rule by using a metaphor. The time of catching elephants is in the summer. This rule has to be understood by all those who run a business. Many businesses are seasonal and are dependent on various factors. For instance, tourism peaks during the vacation, and insurance and tax consultancy get more business during the months when returns are filed. As we mature in our understanding of business, we get a better understanding of such cycles. Then the game becomes very easy to play. But how do we identify the right timing in business? Here are some tips. Play the game. When you start a business, it is very hard initially to get a grip of all possible situations. Even if you are still unable to understand the rules of the game fully, please hit the ground running and play the game with the right spirit. You will mature with every fall. You will mature with every fall. Your mindset will change. You will get an insight into the way the industry works and will eventually end up in a much better place than where you started off from. Learn from seniors. Every industry has businessmen who have played the game for longer than you have and who know the cycles much better than you do. Seek shelter from them. Listen to their advice. Try to have a godfather, a mentor or a guru who will not only guide you but also allow you to make some mistakes. Having a guru means you are virtually safe with your experiments. He will never allow you to be a failure. Trust him. Your aim should be to become like him. As a senior corporate giant stated, "The best time of my life is when I sat at the feet of great masters and observed how they ran their businesses." Time every move. After the initial learning stages, you are prepared for the big war. In war and in life, timing is the most critical element. No mistakes are allowed, since you are now responsible not only for yourself, but also for the whole organization. Strategize, prioritize, plan and time every move, be it for marketing or for launching a new product. As a leader, you have to be involved in the process, planning, executing, and monitoring moves at every stage. Business is all about preparing ourselves for the right time and opportunity. But remember, when the right time comes knocking at the door, we should not be sleeping inside. Corporate social responsibility. The concept of corporate social responsibility, or CSR, is well known throughout the business world today. It not only speaks of contributions made towards the benefit of the less privileged, but also calls for making oneself accountable to society. Many think that CSR is a new concept. However, in our country, Kings have been practicing CSR for thousands of years. Even Kautilya's Arthashastra speaks about this. He makes it clear that while it is the government's basic duty to maintain a society's well-being, even companies cannot stay away from this responsibility. Referring to this issue, Chanakya had written, "And those who are without relations have to be necessarily maintained." But how do businessmen practice these ideas? Here are a few tips. Dr. M.B. Atriya, a well-known management guru, had once said that we have to rise from CSR to PSR, personal social responsibility. Each person has to personally commit to make his little contribution to improve the world around him. There are many things you can do. Educate someone, plant a tree, support an artist, clean up the locality, etc. Contribute money. Fund an already existing NGO project or a spiritual organization. This is the best way to start. You can even pool in the money, collect a fund from the people interested. Then every month contribute the money collected to a project that you feel strongly about. There are many social projects that require funds. Find out about them on the internet, but do not forget to check their authenticity and only then make a contribution. Take time out. Take time out. You just have to make time. You just have to make time. Most of us always say that we do not have time or that we are too busy, but it is important to shake off this mindset. Take time out once a week to do something for others. Don't discourage others. Under no circumstances should you underestimate this endeavor. Leaders are created when they see the problems of others. It's only then that they work towards solutions. In fact, the most important thing is that one should never discourage anyone who is performing some good deeds for the benefit of others. The chairman of a company had once decided to donate millions of dollars for handicapped children. During the board meeting, he was asked whether it was really worth donating such a huge amount for these children. He answered, "Yes, it is, if one of them turns out to be your own child." Yes, it is, if one of them turns out to be your own child. A stable organization. Everyone aims for the growth of their organization. Getting more projects and sales orders, increasing turnovers, and employing more people are always the top priorities for business heads. But before we begin to take the big steps, we have to make sure that our foundation is strong and that we are stable within ourselves. Chanakya says, the policy following which he were to see neither the advancement nor the decline of his own undertakings constitutes stable condition. What has been achieved should not be lost. Even companies are now realizing that as they march ahead, their support system should be in place to conquer bigger markets. That's because it's important to keep your house in shape before you invite guests or alliances. Financial stability. Ensure that the cash flow into the organization is regular and long-term. Outstandings have to be reduced. Collections from customers should be in time. A good banking and accounting system should be in place. Monitor finance reports regularly to keep an eye on these. People stability. A company may be getting more orders, but what's the use if existing employees are shifting jobs? Stability of people has to be ensured. Stability of people has to be ensured. It's a major challenge to all HR heads that before they recruit new people, their existing ones should not leave. It's a case of ensuring that the bucket you are filling with water has no hole in the bottom. Learning stability. It's the world of knowledge workers now. It's important for everyone to maintain a steady search for knowledge. Continuous innovation and upgrading is the secret of success of all great companies. The decline starts when one thinks he knows it all. Learn from others and your own experiences. Vision stability. To fulfill the above requirements, a stable vision is very important. Before anyone starts an organization, it's important to have a clear vision and a mission. If the company's sole motive is only to earn profits, the future is going to be dark. It is also important to impart the vision of the leader to every single employee to inspire them to work hard. Only when the inspiration is maintained will the organization grow. You have to always remember to think about the long term instead of the short term. Our Indian scriptures use two words to indicate this. Shreyas, the path of the good, which is initially difficult, but the person who selects it emerges as a winner in the end. And Preyas, the path of the wrong, which initially seems comforting, but ruins us in the future. So, just take a deep breath, choose the right path, and keep walking. Working in new regions. The need for expansion and growth is universal. Like humans, even corporations want to grow. Companies want to introduce new products, explore new markets, and grow in their turnover. But when a company wants to expand into new territory, it has to send people into the region first. For such people who are sent out to make new discoveries, Chanakya suggests that the company take full responsibility of them in the unexplored region. He should provide one making a new settlement with grains, cattle, money, and other things. When a company sets its sights on a new region, it has to send one of its trusted seniors to go there and settle down for some time. The cost of this and their safety has to be ensured. How does the leader do that? Do your research well. When a company wants to expand, whether for a new market, for acquiring another firm, or even making a strategic alliance, a lot of research has to be done. Reading, getting the information from industrial reports and consultants, etc., is essential. Also, talk to a local person to give you further insights. This is the basic foundation for expansion. Send a pilot team. Based on the information gathered, send one or more members from your senior management to that region. Cross-verification of the facts gathered is essential. Meet lots of people from various backgrounds to understand the region and its culture better. Your eyes and ears are the basic tools for this. Document your study and after you get back, present it to the parent company. Plan your move in phases. If the venture seems profitable, move in phases. Have you ever observed how the various multinationals make their entry into India? Usually, a single person will move in first and stay in the region for about a year or so. During this phase, Chanakya advises that the firm handle the entire costs of living and security of the person. Some firms even move entire families of their representatives here, taking care of the children's education, vacations, and entertainment. Become fully operational. After gaining a year or two of experience, one will get a grip of the new region. Then, move into full operation mode and succeed in it. Note that it is not about conquering a new territory. A company also has to be socially responsible. Make sure you also contribute to the new place instead of just making profits and taking it away from there. Swami Ishwarananda Ji of Chinmaya Mission put it best when he said, "Conquering does not mean killing. It means taking a place in the hearts of the newly acquired region." Conquering does not mean killing. It means taking a place in the hearts of the newly acquired region. Intelligence management. Since our ancient Indian and traditional management books are based on sound principles, They have always had a lot of depth. This is the reason they have survived the test of time. Even today, readers write in with queries on the relation these age-old books have with today's world. Well, they are in august company. Being in the field of corporate training and strategic management consulting, I've also been asked by various directors, CEOs, and chairmen, what's so special about Chanakya or Kautilya and his book Arthashastra that makes it so relevant even in the modern business world? Now, this is a very interesting question for all those who want to study and practice the pearls of wisdom gleaned from the Arthashastra. Here are two very strong reasons that make Kautilya's Arthashastra an eternal masterpiece and Chanakya himself an unforgettable legend. A subject called Anvikshiki. One of the most striking features of the Arthashastra is that it is a very logical book. Before studying this book, kings had to go through a foundation course to prepare them for the higher knowledge of politics. In Arthashastra itself, Chanakya suggests that a student who wants to master this book should first study a subject called Anvikshiki. This Sanskrit terminology is very hard to translate, but the nearest word in English could be logic. So, Chanakya calls for a student's ability in logical thinking to be developed first and foremost. Anvikshiki is a very interesting subject, but hardly known to our generation. It is a mixture of logical, lateral, alternative, analytical, and out-of-the-box thinking. In short, we can call it the science of thinking. It helps a person develop his IQ and converts him into a strategist. Therefore, Arthashastra can be said to be a book on intelligence management. Intelligence management. Once this ability sharpens your intelligence, you will be able to handle higher responsibilities. A foundation in spirituality. The second strong factor in favor of the Arthashastra is that it tells leaders to inculcate an in-depth spirituality. Why? Because in the end, leaders have to deal with power and powerful persons. Power can corrupt, and absolute power can corrupt absolutely. Therefore, to prevent the misuse of power, Chanakya suggests a study of the Vedas and other philosophical books. Thus, he attempts to create persons who will become value-based leaders. After all, a man is what he does in the dark when no one is watching him. Only a selfless leader can serve others properly. Always remember that everyone is gifted with some intelligence. Always remember that everyone is gifted with some intelligence. But hardly anyone is taught to manage their intellect. And everyone may seem to be spiritual. But rarely do leaders of position take spiritual-based decisions coupled with logical insight. Now, the Arthashastra guarantees both and is therefore an eternal book of management. Organizational planning. The invention of the calendar is a very important landmark in the history and development of mankind. It helps us track time and document the various events of the past. It tells us our present conditions and also helps forecast, predict, and plan for the future. Can you ever spend a single day without knowing the date or even the time? We would not only get confused ourselves, but also end up confusing all those around us. Therefore, time-keeping instruments like the calendar are very important tools of reference in our lives. Chanakya also used the calendar as a basis for time management. The royal year, the month, the paksha, the day, the dawn or vyustha, the third and seventh pakshas of the seasons, such as the rainy season, the winter season, and the summer short of their days, the rest complete, and a separate intercalary month are the divisions of time. In the above verse, one is able to see the periods factored in for planning. Some of these are still good for organizational planning today. Annual planning. Here, the goals for the year are set and the roadmaps are prepared too. Strategies and policies are factored in to achieve the same. Usually, annual general meetings or AGMs are organized to inform all members of a team about these targets. If need be, new teams are formed and new job profiles are defined to meet the set objectives. AGMs also help one take stock of the previous year's performance. Seasonal planning. Everything has a season, and there is a season for everything. This is nature's law. Once we understand this, it's easy to look at the ups and downs of any plan. After all, you will never find a farmer expecting his fruits to be produced the same day as he planted the seeds. He knows he has to wait patiently for the right season after carrying out the required duties. Even in business, there are trends and seasons. Mature businessmen factor them into their long-term planning. For example, in India, maximum purchases occur during festival seasons. Consider the recent Diwali season. Every single person knows that the last festive week must have resulted in the bloated sales of every product in the market. Planning for rest. One may work throughout the year, but it's important to rest from time to time so that we can work more effectively. Chanakya suggested the need to plan for rest too in any organization. I know of companies where during the beginning of the year itself, all the employees plan their annual leave and apply for it. In most European companies, it is compulsory to take a 1-month annual leave for rest and for re-energizing oneself. A good organizational plan consists of a mix of long-term planning, 5-year, 10-year, or even 25-year plans, and short-term planning, monthly, weekly, and daily plans. The top management focuses on the broad framework, while others focus on the nuts and bolts of the business. Together, their combined and time-managed work would ultimately better the future of the firm itself. The best and the better. This reminds me of a little nursery rhyme. Good, better, best, never let it rest, till your good is better and your better is best. 136, the best and the better. A great thinker once said, "If I were to create something new, I would study all that is best and make my product even better." About 2,400 years ago, Chanakya himself applied this law. The very first verse of Kautilya's Arthashastra says, "This single treatise, Kautilya's Arthashastra, on the science of politics, has been prepared mostly by bringing together the teachings of as many treatises on the science of politics as have been composed by ancient teachers for the acquisition and protection of the earth." Did you know that there were at least 14 other Arthashastras prior to the one written by Chanakya? The masters of the past were not afraid to accept that innovation and creativity started by learning from others, and even gave credit where it was due, like in Chanakya's case in the above verse. But there are certain steps for doing this. What do you want to achieve? What do you want to achieve? First, our destination has to be clear. Define this and half the battle is won. When Ratan Tata first announced that he will bring out a ₹1 lakh car, it showed clarity of purpose. The rest followed. If you are a businessman, think about the product or service you want to offer. If you are an artist, what will you create? If you are a player, where and which medal do you want to win? Remember Gandhiji's words, find a purpose, the means will follow. How will you do it? You have to start the journey immediately after setting a goal. You have to start the journey immediately after setting a goal. How? Well, Chanakya had said we should learn from the best that is already available. Do some research. Read books by an expert in your field. Study or join a course. Be sure about why you want to reinvent the wheel. And the key word is improve. So learn from the best. If you are a swimmer and aim to win an Olympic medal, you'd better get trained by the world's best swimmers. This will help you achieve the goal faster. When will you finish? Now that you are ready to learn from the best, set a deadline for yourself. The time by when you will reach your goal, converting your study and training into success. This deadline will help you move with extra speed. When the American president first announced that a man would land on the moon and safely return to Earth within a decade, it was a definite deadline, and the scientists achieved it. Chanakya followed the above steps too. That's the reason his Arthashastra has become an immortal book. Now, it's your turn to create something immortal too. Time management. Time management. All of us are living in an extremely fast world now with a dire need for effective time management. But one can always learn from Chanakya's centuries-old Arthashastra. According to him, being mindful of what we have to do is the biggest tip for managing time well. Chanakya had said, "Thus, he, the superintendent of cattle, should be cognizant of the number of animals." Cognizant means being aware or mindful of one's responsibilities and being in control of them. Hence, in this line, Chanakya says that at any given point of time, the head of the cattle department should know the exact number of cattle his people are handling. We can also use this verse to guide us in our daily activities. Understand your goals. The first step in time management is to know where you want to reach and by when. Most of us are running without an agenda or clarity of purpose. Always question yourself. Why am I doing this? Am I supposed to do this? What results am I going to get by doing this activity? Many of us do not know our job profiles properly. If you are not sure, ask your boss and be clear about his expectations. Make a list of the roles that you play: department head, team leader, project in charge, parent, child, etc. Then under each role, write your responsibilities and prioritize them. Note everything. When you are in the midst of your regular work, there can be various interruptions. Some are external disturbances, while others created by your own mind. Phone calls, a new idea, a bill that you had forgotten to pay, all these are common distractions. Such events disturb our current workflow. At such times, note your thoughts down immediately on a sheet of paper or even on your mobile or computer. Then you will not forget it. Your mind will be at peace. Then, after making the note, continue doing your current work at hand if that is your priority. Check your list regularly. When you are free, look at the list you have made and act on each item. My mother used to tell me, if you don't study your lists, you become listless. When you are free, look at the list you have made and act on each item. A busy manager once said, "I look at my to-do list at least a dozen times each day. It constantly reminds me of what I have to do, and I accordingly make time for it in my busy schedule." The moment you have finished some work, make a note in a relevant file or folder. This can be useful when you prepare your reports. It's all about being cognizant of the number of animals. Just keep in mind that all this advice can be useful only if one is self-disciplined. No amount of book knowledge or time management courses will help if you get carried away by the urgent matters others bring. Ensuring growth. Being an expert in the field of Rajniti or statesmanship, Chanakya could communicate exactly what a leader or a king is expected to do to ensure the growth of his kingdom. He had said, "There is no country without people and no kingdom without a country." Here, country stands for the rural villages or the countryside. In other words, Chanakya stresses on the interdependence of people, villages, and the kingdom they form together and the attention each needs for overall growth. The same law can be applied to any institution or organization as well. People, that is, customers and clients. Can any company survive without its clients or customers? Their needs have to be fulfilled by the company's products and services. So, these have to be improved. But remember that the word people here also applies to the employees and the managers who run the organization. They also have to be taken care of, or there will be a disaster, as no one would be ready to cater to the clients. Country, or the market. A large number of clients and customers grouped together in a particular region are called a market. Understanding the demand and supply ratio of any market is of prime importance. The company has to focus on this aspect of business. Additionally, with all markets being dynamic and ever-changing, a company's sales and marketing department will have to stay on top of as well as predict these changes to stay ahead of competitors. Kingdom or the company. People and the country come together to form the kingdom, or a company in today's corporate world. Remove either of the two, and the company will disappear. If a company has to grow, it has to expand its current markets. This is what growth planning is. Any person who wants to build a good marketing strategy should understand this rule. Study individual customers to understand market issues. Based on that, refine your products and services. Then understand the need of different markets and customize your products accordingly. In this manner, the firm's leader will be able to keep his customers happy and in turn, increase market capitalization and make the company grow faster into a truly globalized organization. Land as an alternative asset. Owning property has become a key investment for many people. In rural areas, land translates into the very existence of a person. Indeed, property is eternally named in that age-old formulation of the prime requirements for survival, roti, kapda or makan. But here, the onus is on food, clothing and property rather than shelter. Chanakya had stressed this centuries ago in Arthashastra. Of the excellence of land, affording shelter is best. Of the excellence of land, affording shelter is best. He had even listed many ideas on how to select land or property based on its qualities. Conducive to agriculture, having a perennial source of water, rich in minerals, etc. However, as in the verse above, he preferred that land which gives us shelter during tough times. Now, how do people like us who stay in cities apply this? Purchase land in smaller places. Having a property in Mumbai is a dream. It's one of the costliest cities in the world. If you are among the lucky ones who already have a house in Mumbai or in another similarly big city, do not stop there. Purchase a small property in a smaller place as an additional shelter and investment. Why? Simple. If you can build one home in a metro city, It shows you have the capability for creating more, and you should do exactly that as an alternative to your residence. Build and use it. Now, do not just purchase a piece of land and let it lie waste. Build a house on it. Use it from time to time. There are many whom I know who own houses in their villages and small towns but never use it. Someone else does. It's important you stay there at least twice a year. Thus, you will get used to a different place. God forbid, in case you have to leave your current city, it will be an easy migration for you. It's security. We never know what the future has in store for us. However, we can at least have a backup plan for shelter and survival. If a natural calamity hits our city, at least we can fall back on a reverse migration of sorts. In spite of problems that may crop up, we can say, at least I have a house for shelter. Let me start again. This would especially help in times of economic crises such as the recession that affected the world in 2008 and 2009. Chanakya's strategy was always to predict the unpredicted and prepare an alternative. Your additional land or property can be this alternative. Crime planners. After the terror attacks in Mumbai on 26/11, every citizen was angry. The international community also took these attacks seriously and lent its supports. So now that Kasab, the sole surviving terrorist, has been sentenced to death, it is important for Pakistan to arrest some of the biggest masterminds behind such attacks. How do we punish the criminals after they have been caught? Chanakya gives us his view in Arthashastra. He who causes another to commit an act of force, saying, I shall accept responsibility, shall be punished double. In other words, according to Chanakya, those who force or brainwash others into committing a crime are more responsible for the consequences. Their punishment should be double of what is faced by those actually executing the crime. Young boys like Kasab and the other terrorists who executed their master's plans were just a small part of the deadly show. Now that we're being led to the bigger planners, we have to tackle them. At the top level, a strong initiative must be taken by our government as well as the international community and the United Nations so that this issue is dealt with far more seriously. This top-level initiative should continue. This fight is till the finish. So all the powerful and responsible authorities have to ensure that the results of their endeavors are much more better and fruitful than ever before. Timely execution of their plans is more important than mere academic analysis. At the corporate level, the attacks showed how even business organizations are now on the terror radar. Corporates like the Tatas and the Oberoi Group were directly impacted. So the events of November 26, 2008 should always remind us that avoiding terrorism is not just the government's responsibility. Companies have to take care of their employees. Both need each other in equal manner in such times. The corporate leaders especially should communicate their concerns and issues to their employees and solve all security problems together. At the individual level, as I said already, one has to appreciate the way the fire is still in the hearts of our citizens. No individual should ever forget these incidents. If you cannot participate, at least keep the momentum going by signing petitions, forwarding mails, and voicing your opinion in some way.